evening, everybody. Welcome back to PSGL. George Morgan here, your commentator, alongside me, TK, who is going to be rounding off the season with me. Down the inside, absolutely possible scene. This is for the win between these two.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
He needs to get it done now.
Blakey will dive to the inside.
We'll go bust. We got our elbows out.
Ronard takes the lead.
Because here comes Alfie Butcher.
Can't really complain with that one.
It's not going to be easy. The pressure is on, of course.
Yarda Watmere is your champion.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the PSGL YouTube channel. Today, we kick off Season 6 of PSGL E-Series. We've had our qualifiers, and we're now ready to see who's going to be the top team in the F1 25 community scene. We've got 6 esports teams and 4 community teams taking part in this season's event. We've got 2 brand new teams taking part as well, along with a brand new esports team too. And I can't wait to get into the action. And alongside myself, Nathan Richards, in the commentary box will be Corey Brooks. Corey, welcome in. Brand new season, your first full-time season here in E-Series. I'm sure you can't wait to get into the action.
No, absolutely, Nathan. You took the word out of my mouth. Excitement is not the word I'd like to use. Ecstatic. We're getting ready to rock and roll for Season 6. It has been sponsored so kindly by SRC. You saw the ad just a few minutes ago. And the grid is stacked. The teams are stacked. And of course, like we said, 4 community teams managing to make it in. It's not just an esports lockout. You have 6 esports teams, professional esports teams, and then those 4 community teams that managed to qualify in that amazing last Group 3 showdown that we saw in the qualifying series just 2 weeks ago. We're very excited to be here and ready to rock and roll because, of course, it is. It's Australia. Brings a lot of action here with its 4 DRS zones. Beautiful place to be.
Yeah, it really, really is. And we'll have a look at some of the teams taking part in this event and their rosters. Of course, you might have seen them on Twitter already, but if not, you're at the perfect place at the perfect time. So our first team we'll have a bit of a look at is going to be FRT, of course, brand new to PSGL E-Series. They're a team that have been around a long, long time in the scene, and they're when they're here to try and prove that they are the best community team in the scene. They've got a very good lineup of Campbell Adams, Liam Bowman, Florian Fanzelta, Skidder, Gabel Chontos, and Takubi. They've got a mix of experience in PC, console, and then also just outright top level experience. So I can't wait to see what they can do. Corey, let's have a look at Venturi.
Absolutely. Venturi Racing. Reyes Intiaz lining himself up there with Alicio De Capua, Victor Widler, Stephen Vasso, Simon Engel, and Alexander Damas. Again, some drivers that have known to show some great pace and battle hard. Venturi, especially, a surprise entry into E-Series in Season 6. They tried many, many times to qualify, but now they finally get their chance. Like we say, some fast drivers. They have F2 driver, Reyes Intiaz, and of course, ex-F1 challengers, Alicia De Capua. This team, realistically, is going to be up there in some form of fight with these communities.
They certainly will be. Next, we have FVR Esports, of course, have been here 3 times before. They finished 10th, 10th, and 8th. So they have got a big opportunity this time with their roster to finish higher. But of course, this is one of the most competitive rosters we've had of all teams. So it's going to be even more difficult to get higher. But they have a really, really good roster. The likes of Declan Barrett, of course, if you remember from last season in esports. One of the VCARB drivers, they have the likes of Diego Zorzo, Rehard Sprogis, Keaton Lutz, who've all been up in F2 and F3 over the past couple of seasons, and then the likes of Renz Thomason and Aaron Raminguez, who have also been hovering around the scene for quite some time. And next, Corey, we have Veloci Academy, who are, well, I think they've got a brand new roster in terms of every driver is different.
Yeah, absolutely. As you can see there, Sergio Sabrino, Cameron Downs, Tony Hitala, Tador Presican, Gabriel Quintino, and Gregory Frisbill. They're all good drivers. Again, you've seen these in F2 contention and F3 races, potentially even coming back for another championship. They are Season 5 defending champions. Let's not forget that. Ripassa, Lund, Benzone, and Di Hortensio no longer with them. So this I know it could be a bit of a struggle for Veloce with them losing most of their fast drivers from last season, but with this new lineup, who's to say that they can't pull out a good defense and potentially challenge for another Season 6 championship?
Certainly, we'll have to see what they can do. But now we move on to the Big Six. Like we have in football, we have here in PSGL E-Series. And first off, we'll have a little look at Alpine Esports, of course. Haven't taken part in E-Series before. And this season, of course, they've made some really good signings recently. And they are definitely going to be a team that's going to be pushing to the top. I mean, look at the top two for a start. Otis Lawrence, race winner last season in F1 Sim Racing. I still think that this season he'll be a championship contender. Alongside veteran Danny Brezhnev, who's been around longer than God's dog here in F1 Esports. And then, of course, Josh Edu is, their reserve driver, normally in esports, the third driver. He's also going to be taking part tonight as well, so make sure to keep an eye for him. And then we have Piotr Stakelek, Ben Shabakonyi, and Andrei Molnar. I believe we've got a Pole and then two of our Hungarians in the scene there. They'll be taking part as well this season. Three very good up-and-coming drivers. Of course, Piotr and Bench have also taken part in F1 Esports on many occasions and many times taken part in PSGL, PTF1. Let's have a look at R8G.
R8G starting off with Julian Clapham Bocken, of course. Let's not count out. You saw him up there with the esports pros in that championship. It's Joris Kroos, and somebody who's definitely going to put some pressure on those drivers that you may potentially see at the top, but he's just lurking there in the background looking to take any opportunity to rise higher in his esports fame with Reese Linton, Tycho Hardy and Daniel Parode, and apparently to be acquired.
Yes, they have a sixth driver. There's rumours going around on Twitter, but I'm not going to leak them. I'll let everyone go to their own devices on that one. But yes, they should have their sixth driver announced, I presume, very shortly. Let's have a look at McLaren Shadow, who had a rather disappointing season last time out. Last time they took part, at least, in Season 4. They finished P6 in the standings, over 150 points back from the championship leaders. So they've got a lot of work to do this season if they want to get any higher. And they've also got a very interesting lineup. Of course, Leo Lund now joining the McLaren Shadow team, I'd presume as a development driver for the upcoming game. But of course, around him, he's got lots of experience, like Sir Philip Preschneider, who's been in esports, I think, for around 4 years. Shimon Lekomsky, who took part for McLaren last time out. Jack West, another driver that's been here a long time. And then Xander Van Dyken and Wilson Hughes, of course. Wilson, one of the main team drivers for McLaren in the last couple of seasons. They certainly have a lot of fresh blood. I'm sure they'll be working their way up into that top 5. But of course, with the rosters we've got coming up still, they're definitely going to find it quite difficult. And of course, our three left, we have Williams, Red Bull and Ferrari. Corey, take your pick.
I'll go away with the Williams boys, leading out with Avero Caraton, somebody that everybody should know. He's been a mighty fine contender in a lot of races. Not only that, could he potentially bring Williams back to a championship? They are Season 1 champions. Last time they took part, they only finished 9th. So Williams coming in with this grid, looking to potentially regain their fame as he lines up with Rubens Pedreño, Nelson Alves, Ikabena, Mathis Van Erven and Valentin Bruffa.
Indeed, and next we'll have a look at Red Bull Sim Racing. I mean, what a lineup we have here. Of course, he's starting off with Kieran Kodendorp and Ulash Azildrim, who are taking part here this evening, and then below them, 4 very competitive drivers, of course. First to mention, Liam Parnell, legend of the scene when it comes to engineering, and also a very solid driver. But the 3 names that everybody will be looking at is Tom Manley, Freddie Rasmussen, and Jarno Opmeer. I mean, that is a lineup of 3 OP drivers with 3 surrounding very good drivers as well. I mean, this team, if they put their heart into this, they've got more than any chance of making their way to the top and taking the championship. Of course, last time they took part was in Season 4, and they took, I believe it was like 3 wins, 6 podiums, and finished 3rd in the standings. They have an opportunity to become champions this season. And Corey, our final team to mention, is our 3-time back-to-back champions of Seasons 2, 3 and 4, Ferrari Esports.
Absolutely. You can see the team on your screen right about now, and names that immediately pop to your attention. Barry Burramand and Ismail Fassi, two drivers well and truly capable of scoring race victories and giving these three-time E-Series champions another potential shot at what could be a fourth championship here in E-Series. They line themselves up with John Evans, Dylan Warren, Lenny Pepinthus, apologies for that, and Riccardo Benzoni. Now, I like Benzoni. It's been a while since I've seen his name, but it's nice to see that Benzoni's there with Ferrari and could potentially be racing.
Indeed. That is an insane lineup. Just like Red Bulls and just like so many of the teams in this series, we've got 60, I believe, 60 drivers taking part this season. Some of them might be here all season. Some of them might make the odd appearance, but can't wait to get into the action. Let's have a look at the lineups for this evening, which yet again, very, very strong going into it. We have all of our drivers in the lobby, so I presume we'll be heading our way in rather shortly. But of course, starting off with McLaren, we have Leo Lund and Wilson Hughes. Of course, two very good drivers. Wilson, as I've mentioned, part of the main McLaren team. Leo Lund recently moving into that team from Veloce Academy. And then we have Red Bull, who have Kian Gonadorp and Ulash Zildjian. Of course, Ulash part of the V-Card team last season in F1 Esports and managed to get himself a pole position, I believe, in China in the early parts of the season. And Kian, been here a very long time, very solid, and expect to see him up at the top. And then we have R8G, we have Tycho Hardy and Joris Krozen. Of course, Joris and Tycho both taking part in F1 Sim Racing last season. They've got a lot of experience under their belts. And then Alpine, Otis Lawrence and Josh Edo, another very good team. Then we have Ferrari with Barry Burman and Ishmael Fassi, probably the favoured lineup, I think, here for tonight. Two very solid drivers. Veloce Academy, we have Gregory Prejibel and Sergio Sabrino. Williams, Ruben Progenio and Matthias van Erven. VNT, one of our new teams. They have Alexander Dimas and Simon Engel. And then our two final teams, FVR with Declan Barrett and Diego Zorzo, and Campbell Adams with Gabor Chontos. And I believe, Corey, perfect timing because we're just about to enter into qualifying one of Australia. But before we head in, I do want to say a quick thank you to Sim Racing Centre, who, of course, without them, we would not be here for this season of PSGL E-Series. So a big thank you to Yorit, Tyson, the team over at SRC. And I'll let you into a bit of a secret. During the stream, Miss Formula One will be giving away some discount codes over for the SRC website. They will be 25%, so make sure to get yourself some sim racing setups, strategies, or even some coaching. Of course, you can get coached by F1 Esports champion Brendan Lee. And of course, we will also have a driver of the day or team of the day set up at the end of the stream where you can vote for what your favourite team was and the best team was of the evening. But of course, Corey, until we get to then, we've got 3 qualifying sessions and a 29-lap race.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where things are going to get interesting. Tyre management through these qualifying sessions to make sure you get the best runs possible in qualifying 3. But not only that, you've got to get through to qualifying 3. But we have 18 minutes to go in Q1, and I'm ready to rock and roll, Nathan. I don't know about you, but I think we can go trackside.
We certainly can. We are making our way into qualifying, just trying to see who's first out onto the circuit. And I don't think anyone has decided to budge just yet. And, I mean, last game, we always saw the intermediate tyres come out at the first instance. I mean, we haven't had any full quali races yet on the game, so I'm not sure if we'll have anybody on the inters. And as I say that, I think we certainly do. We do. And the first driver to go out will be the McLaren of Wilson Hughes, heading onto track here in Australia. And normally I'd be sitting here saying so-and-so won, so-and-so's had a podium last time, but we have never had a race here in E-Series around Albert Park. So, brand new track to the calendar and the series. I'm sure it's going to make a great debut.
I'm pretty sure as well, this is one of the tracks that has been rescanned recently as we go into this new game, so certainly feels a lot better. I don't know, from my perspective, when I've been driving and getting a little bit of feel for the tracks, it does feel a lot better, but it also feels a lot slower on this game. Got to take into account the dirty air is brutal now. I don't know if there's any updates come to fix that. I heard something, a little rumour along the lines, but it's still going to produce some mighty fine close racing. Again, 4 DRS zones here in Australia, so plenty of places to overtake. But in terms of qualifying, also plenty of places to gain time and speed.
There certainly is. There's all nearly a bit of contact there between the V-Carb and Wilson Hughes. Of course, in the V-Carbs this season, it will be FVR, Declan Barrett on track at the moment. Of course, part of the V-Carb team last season. And he's now, I presume, waiting for an offer from somewhere else and has decided to head to FVR for the meantime. And of course, will definitely be a driving force in their team this season and should hopefully see quite a few comfortable top 10 finishes. Of course, in this series, we have, I believe it is a point scored for every position. 35 points for the winner, then to 1 point for P20. So even if you're last, you still take points for your team, which means, Corey, we're not going to see 6 drivers retire in the pits.
Oh, well, thankfully we won't see that. We want to see all 20 hit that checkered flag unless, you know, something disastrous happens. You cannot predict anything in racing. You just got to hope that everything goes smoothly and plain sailing. We did see, though, there's 2 drivers who, Wilson Hughes and Declan Barrett, go back into the pits on those intermediate tyres. They've not even tried to set a lap.
Yeah, just doing a couple of equipment checks, making sure everything is working fine. They'll head into the pits and then shortly they'll head back out on a set of the soft tyres. The same goes for the R8G team and then I presume the same for VNT, that being Alexander Dimas and Simon Engel, who actually is going to go for a lap. Our first lap of the brand new season of PSGL E-Series presented by Simon Engel here for the VNT team, of course, who've tried to qualify on so many occasions, and I believe they got like a net qualify of like 8th or 9th. They've never been anywhere near qualifying, and heading into, I think it was Bahrain, if I'm correct, in qualifying, they were second, and of course have got themselves a place here for this season, and I can't wait to see what they can do with that opportunity. I'm sure they'll be trying their hardest to finish as high as possible. As well, I mean, this lap means nothing either way, because I don't imagine people will be slower on softs then Simon will be here on these inters. So I'd imagine he'll just head into the pits after this lap has been completed. But, Corey, we have our first drivers out on the soft tyres quite early, because I'm sure last season we normally saw them go out at around 11 to 10 minutes. But going out with 14 minutes to go are the 2 FRTs in the Aston Martins, Campbell Adams and Gabor Chontos.
Oh, they want to get out nice and early and try and avoid any form of traffic ahead. Try and get their laps in quick and bonny to see what sort of banker time they're setting down. But for Simon, though, is he going to actually set the lap or will he dive down pit lane? He's going to dive down the pit lane. So we're not going to see what sort of time he was setting, what sort of pace we can expect from intermediate times, but we will go on board with the Aston Martin duo. Now, could this be that they're so close together that potential one of them's going to get a tour?
Well, we'll have to see, but I don't think it really matters that much in this game. I haven't looked too much into it, and I think slipstreaming is banned anyway. If I'm correct, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, shoot me. But no, I'm sure that you can't get that much of a slipstream anyway, and that you're not allowed any in this series. So, yeah, they'll just go on their laps at their own pace, and we'll see what the FRTs can do. Because, I mean, in the past, when we go into E-Series, most of the time we tend to see at least 1 or 2 of the community teams in the bottom 5. Hopefully, FRT can get themselves through into Q2. I mean, Gabor Chontos, very good qualifier. I mean, I think it was in PCF2. He's been up near the top in qualifying, and I'm sure he'll be able to do the same here. And then Campbell Adams, one of the Australians on the grid at his home Grand Prix. Haven't seen him racing too much. I've seen his name around quite a lot, so quite interested to see what he can do here tonight around Albert Park. But Gabor Chontos heading through that first sector now. We'll see what that first sector split will be, and it's a 25.979. And until we see other lap times set, I can't say whether that's good or not, because yeah, I don't really know sector times. I'm not that invested into driving the F1 game, and I'm not sure you are either, Corey.
No, I couldn't tell you what's a good sector time. I could do a 30 sector one there and think that's amazing, and he's just set a 29, so I couldn't tell you. Well, as we get through, he's finished his sector 2. He's coming down into the final couple turns. Now, what I have noticed, that corner, I think it's turn 11, is a bit treacherous.
Yep, it is. It's a difficult one, and heading onto the brakes, even though you can see the corner, it kind of comes at you blind, and you've just got to hope that the car will stick. But let's see, Corey, what can Gabor Chontos set on the timings?
But he does power down towards the line. It's a 14.597, and as his teammate comes down, Campbell Adams, where's he going to place that Aston Martin duo? 4 tenths away, just under, I'd say, on the 4 tenths there. And I don't know, so he's only banker laps. You can't say that this is the pace. You can't say that He's going to stay at a 14.9 because it's his first lap. I don't even think I saw him out there on the inters to test the waters. He's just gone straight out. So again, like we mentioned, very early to go out on the softs, but 4/10 away from his teammates. Still got plenty of time to pull those 4/10 back. As long as you're not in that bottom 5, you're happy, you're sailing.
Certainly, and I think, to be fair, that 14.5 is actually quite a decent lap. I'm not too sure about the lap times here, but I think, you know, max, you're looking at the high 13s. So I think that's a decent banker there from Gabor to get FRT started off in this championship. And then give it about 30 seconds, we should see most of our other cars heading out onto track, looking to set their first lap times of the season. Of course, returning champions, Ferrari, Williams and Veloce Academy, all to keep an eye on those, see what they can do here in this first part of qualifying. But of course, we have the full qualifying format. We have Q1, which is the bottom 5 eliminated, that's P16 to 20th. Q2 is 11th to 15th, and then Q3 is a top 10 shootout. And I'm sure, Corey, as we discussed before the stream, there's going to be a couple of upsets here because of how close the grid is.
Yeah, certainly. It is going to come down to every thousandth of a second could make the difference. You could see drivers separated by as little as a thousandth of a second with how stacked the grid is, and especially the lineup here for tonight. Every driver is showing up trying to do the best for their team as we go straight into round 1 of E-Series. It's going to get close. We see Campbell Adams 4/10 away, but again, like we say, we cannot say that's where he's going to finish himself. I can see in the chat, though, that somebody has said he's done a personal best on his banker.
Oh, wow. If his personal best is 4/10 off Gabor, that is rather worrying, so I'm hoping that is not the case. Otherwise, Campbell's in for a long next 40-odd minutes because, yeah, I can't see a 0.9 going through into Q2 at all, but hopefully Campbell can find some pace in the next couple of runs. But we do have our first cars heading out onto track once again. We got the 2 VNTs, and we will have one of the FERs of Diego Zorzo out onto circuit, Gregory Prajibal as well for Veloce Academy, and then also we do have Sergio Sprino heading out onto circuit. So let's see what our community teams can do, because at the moment we've had none of our esports cars head out onto track yet.
No, not as yet. They're waiting patiently, biding their time. I think they must feel a bit comfortable. I mean, you've got 8 drivers from community teams, and 6 teams are all pro esports teams. There you go, 14 drivers. So I reckon that all these pro teams are feeling a little bit too confident, thinking that they're automatically going to go through if they can just wait out a little bit longer. They don't have too much pressure on their hands in qualifying 1. Q2 and Q3, it's all pressure.
Certainly, and now Simon Engel might be in a spot of bother here, has gone out onto his lap, and there's actually cars ahead of him who are on their out laps. So hopefully they all know that a fast Haas is coming through, and they'll move out the way so that Simon can get on with his first lap of the session, his first sector, a 26.00, around a tenth away from what Gabor Chontos set earlier on. So not too shabby so far here for Simon Engel as he heads his way down towards the horrifying turn 9 and 10 chicane. Of course, DRS open to the end of the middle sector, and it's a 42.897 here for Simon so far in that first and second combined. Has one more sector to go here, Corey. Let's see what he can do heading onto the brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Fires around into Sector 3. Nice of Bonnie. Now he's only got one more push of DRS. That's all that's going to aid him in his run down towards the line. But it goes on for quite a while as he approaches the final 2 corners. Nice and tight to that apex. But you've got to be careful. That outside wall comes at you very, very quickly. Just the slightest bit of understeer will send you clattering into it. He crosses the line, and VNT 14.85 already for Simon Engel.
Yep, still over 2/10 away though from Gabor Chontos, so that lap's starting to look better every time someone crosses the line. Next we have Alexander Dimas here in the VNT team, of course his teammate, a 14.8. What can Alexander Dimas do? To the line, a 14.668, a nice little banker here from Alexander Dimas, and then we'll have Diego Zorzo here for FVR heading in to the final couple of corners. Of course, he should be a driver, I'd imagine, up near the top of the timings from what we've got so far here. Out of the final corner, heading up to the line, it will be a 14.793, drops in between the 2 VNTs, and then I think next it will be, well, there's many cars it could be. I think it might be Gregory Prajibal for Veloce Academy.
Trying to see where he is, the P6. We'll get the camera on board. He did cross the line for a 15-1. So far, the slowest out of the lot. Not able to break into the 15 times. And we just saw Sergio Sobrino for Veloce Academy hit the line with a 14-7. Times are starting to come in. Just go, Joris Krozen just starting his lap. Ismail Fassi now with the fastest pole time by 1/10 of a second. 14.487. Beautiful lap there from the Ferrari driver. What is Borraman doing? That's what I'm interested to see. He's invalidated. So Borraman will be going straight into the pits. Not happy with that lap. Will potentially slap on some fresh tyres unless he can certainly break away into at least a 14.5 on a... Oh, he's going again. That's a double outie. Never mind, Barry Burman is going to go again.
He certainly will, and more lap times are coming through. Hughes up into the top 3, Josh Ido in P4. Then we have Ulash Gildrim into P8 and Keen Gonadorp worrying for Red Bull. P11 with a 14.897, and then Tycho Hardy a 14.996. And that lap there from Gabor and from Alexander still up in the top 5. Brilliant job so far. Of course, Leo Lund and Otis Lawrence all made mistakes. They've had to head back into the pits. But we do have Joris Krozen here on the lap in the R8G team in the kick car this season. Let's see what he can do. Heading out to the final corner, heading up to the line in the green machine. What will it be here for Joris Krozen? Goes up into P7 of 14.776. And then I think next we will have Barry Borman. He's looked to have gone again. He didn't go into the pits, but he's turned his DRS off. So I think he might be heading either into the pits or going again. But I'm sure he's not going to have enough fuel. I don't think he would have fueled up for 4 laps.
I think that's an abort, yeah. He seems like he's not happy with his first sector as he's coming halfway down second sector. Certainly unhappy with his lap and has just completely aborted. Closed that wing, not even left it open. Just whether he hit the brakes and just closed it off and slows himself right back down. Ismail Fassi retires comfortable with that lap time, sits himself comfortable at the top, but potentially, definitely, well, I say potentially, he's definitely through to Q2. It's more the likes Leo Lund, Otis Lawrence, Barry Berman, Ruben, who still need to get laps out onto the table. We'll take a look at Rubens now, who is caught up in quite a bit of traffic, has Tycho Hardy ahead of him, I think, who's about to dive into the pits or Krozen, and Ruben himself, who was on that first invalidation heading into the pits as well. So everybody's done on their first opening lap times, and everybody to the pits apart from, Joris Krozen. Yep, slow car indeed, really slow indeed, out of fuel.
And I'd imagine there we have 2 laps maximum for the drivers. Depends if they fuel up to go for 2 runs or if they fuel up to go for that 1 sole run. But bottom 5 is quite surprising actually. We have Gregory Prigibel for Veloce Academy. We have Leo Lund, McLaren, Otis Lawrence in Alpine, Barry Burman for Ferrari, and then Ruben Pedreño for Williams. Of course, 4 of those haven't set a lap yet. They all made mistakes on their first runs, so they have a lot of pressure to go again and get a qualifying lap time in. But our top 4 of Ismail Fassi, Gabor Chontos, Wilson Hughes and Josh Ido have all decided to retire. They think they're safe heading in towards Q2, but I'd say P8, 9 down, they're not safe here. I think they have to go again to make sure they can make their way up into Q2 because cars behind them will improve and the bottom 4 still have to set times here. And I'd expect the likes of Kian, Tycho, Matthias, Declan to get way higher than the positions they're in at the moment. So a lot of pressure, and I'd say Campbell Adams down.
Absolutely. Leo Lund taking to the track there. 3 minutes left of qualifying to go for those bottom 4 to get their times in the top 5, retiring, knowing that they will be through, and everybody else needs to try and fight it out now for those bottom 5 positions. I don't feel like that there's any sort of worry for Lund, Otis, or Burman in that sense. Even for Rubens, he's just... I think they're all kind of chill, just relaxing at the moment. It's only qualifying 1. They've only got 1 lap to potentially keep them away from the bottom 5. They'll be happy with P10 at this rate. As long as they can get through, I think that they'll be fairly happy.
Certainly. I mean, I think there's going to be some pressure on them because we know they've got the pace. They know they've got it. You know, they're not, even without being egotistical, they know they can easily make it through into Q3. But it's the fact of getting the lap right at the right time. I mean, this section of the track here, easy to run wide, easy to invalidate. Same goes for heading into turn 11. Very easy to go that little bit too deep and run wide. And of course, that's where the lap time invalidations come through. And that's where you start to struggle. So they've got to hope they can just keep it within those, I think it's yellow lines actually around here, and just get their lap time on the board and make it safely through into Q2. As Leo Lund is getting prepared to go for his final lap in this qualifying session, unless he's fueled up to go possibly again, if he needs it. 1 minute and 40 to go. Leo Lund is heading out to the final corner, Corey. Let's take a look at the McLaren's lap.
We are on board with him as he comes powering down into turn 1, hits the brakes ever so slightly, fighting it round to the left, trying to keep the car as straight as possible to catch on turn 2 and to come back powering it down towards turn 3. Harshest brake, one of the harshest braking zones on this circuit as he gets himself around nice and bunny, nice and tight to the apex once again as he gets himself going around, about to finish off his sector 1. So far looking very, very tidy, not a lot of traffic ahead of him as he does go at 25.9 in sector 1, so currently looking very, very quick and settled through sector 1. Now we'll get that rear wing open coming down this long curved, I can't say it's a back straight, it's not, it's a curved straight if you want to be a little bit more specific. 80 with DRS before he fires around 9 and 10 flat to the floor. Ooh. Absolutely zero lifting, which has cost him with understeer and has sent him off the track. Really unsettled there coming out of 10, and he's got that invalidation, but I think you're absolutely right, Nathan. He's fueled up for another lap, slowing the car right down, getting out of the way of any traffic behind, and recharging that battery to potentially go again. He's still got 30 seconds to hit that checkered flag.
Yeah, he needs to go again here, otherwise Leo Lund for McLaren could be exiting in Q1, and Leo is one of those I'd not be anywhere near voting for him to go out in this first qualifying session, but I think the next car to go heading up to the line will be Barry Burman, who yet hasn't got a lap time on the board. Now, he needs to get to the line here, because if he doesn't, if he does and he gets an invalidation, he can't go again. So he's going to keep it within the yellow lines through the final corner now. Can Barry make it through into Q2? Normally, it wouldn't be a question, but it is this evening to the line for Barry Burman. Where will he go? Up into P2. A brilliant lap there from the Ferrari driver. Next, it's Otis Lawrence, who hasn't got a lap. Simon Engel goes up into P5. Otis goes quickest here with a 3.55. And next, we have Ruben Pedronio for Williams. Is at the bottom. Where can he go? Up into P5. That knocks Kean Godendorp out. Kean will not be making it through into Q2 for Red Bull Sim Racing, as we do see Ulash Adildrim, his teammate, up into P6. Next to cross the line will be Declan Barrett. It goes up into B12 as Joris Croton is 18th, 15th. Toka Hardy only manages 14th here, so we have an R8G car out. Gregory Prajibal can't make it through for Veloce Academy, our last season's champions. Neither can Matthias van Erven for Williams Esports, as we have a couple more cars still to cross the line. Leo Lund, it's all down to him here for McLaren. Wilson Hughes is up into P7. Leo Lund surely should be making it through in towards Q2 as we head through the final couple of corners. What can Leo Lund manage in his McLaren? Of course, Sergio Sobrino is up into 15th. He could be at risk. Leo Lund qualifies 20th position. McLaren have a car out in Q1, starting dead last in 20th.
Oh, I did not see that coming, but as he came around the final corner, I was looking at the timer in the top right, and I was mighty close. I don't even think he's going to hit a 14 at this rate. Hits the line with a 15.2. Leo Lund is out, and he's only just started driving from McLaren. That is not a good first qualifying for him, but from the back, he could potentially, I don't know, it's going to be a fight. This is going to be a hell of a fight for Leo Lund to pull this back.
I mean, these community teams are coming in with a bang. I mean, in the last couple of seasons, they're normally dead last, but so far they're doing really good. I mean, FRT, 4th and 13th. We have VNC, 8th and 11th. And then we have Veloce Academy, surprisingly back of the bunch, 15th and 18th. And then our other community team is FVR with Diego Zorzo, 9th, and Declan Barrett in 12th place. But I mean, what a start to E-Series Season 6. 4 of our esports teams are making their way out of Q1. They're starting dead last on the grid. I think the biggest surprise for me is between Leo Lund and Kean Godendorp. I did not expect to see those guys out and starting 19th and 20th, but we're already, Corey, into Q2. And I mean, if Q1 was a surprise, I think this qualifying session could be even more of a surprise, because all these guys were within 4/10 in the last session. Only 10 of them can go through into Q3.
Oh, this is, oh wow, already cars hitting it out, not even 20 seconds of qualifying done. Everybody taking to the track, trying to get their first laps done and dusted. But again, something else we didn't notice, Joris Krozen for R8G, he also didn't make it through. Disaster laps there for pro esports drivers as well. They're just They're struggling here in this round one here in Australia. Invalidations, track limits, maybe just catching a corner a little bit too much, unsettling the car and dropping tenths that is crucial in their lap times. But only 5 drivers are going to fall out of this one, and then we have our 10 driver shootout for 12 minutes. This is going to get interesting now in qualifying 2. All eyes peeled on the grid. Only 4 drivers still sit themselves in the pit lane. Oh no, I stand corrected. 2 drivers yet to come out to the pit. Simon Engel and Tycho Hardy. Other than that, you have 13 drivers all out onto the track trying to get their laps in.
Indeed, the first one to set a lap will be one of the Williams, of course, the only one left in this session. Ruben Pedreño, of course, Matthias van Erven, 17th in qualifying. I didn't expect to see him that high due to the fact he doesn't race it often, but I didn't expect to see him out in Q1. That is safe to say, considering his first lap was up in the top 10, I believe, or if not just below. So yeah, big surprise to see one of the Williams out, and hopefully it's not another season of demise like we saw them in Season 5, where they finished 9th in the standings and only 6 points from 10th. So I'm hoping that's not going to happen this season for Williams, and with, you know, yet again another decent lineup, I'm sure they can get a lot higher than 9th, that's for sure. But let's see what Ruben Pedreño can do, heading through the first couple of corners here for the Williams team. And of course needs to get a decent banker lap in here, doesn't really want to be put under pressure heading on to the final laps due to the fact he's the only one who has an opportunity to make it through to Q3 for the team.
All eyes on Ruben at the moment as he comes to set his first banker lap in qualifying 2. Gets himself through. I've just noticed that lap data is not enabled because of the restart, but there we have it. I couldn't see what sector his sector 1 was, then I do apologise to everybody spectating, but he does come down and gets that rear wing open before he comes to the very set of corners that costly Lund his chances at getting through in qualifying. I think he's struggling with 9 and 10, but Ruben steals. Oh no, never mind, I stand corrected. Ruben scores for a spin. Son of the V-Cab! What have we just seen?
Oh my goodness, I mean, seeing one spin there is interesting, never mind seeing one spin right after. That would have been, I think, was it Declan Barrett? I think it was who spun there, unfortunately, for FVR, but I mean, that's their first bankers over, that's safe to say. I think the first one to set a lap will be Josh Edu here for Alpine, heading his way through the final corner now, heading up to the line. His first lap of the session and the first lap of the session. It's going to be a 14.880. Next will be Ishmael Fassi, a 15.259. Wilson Hughes, a 2.73. Of course, many of these will be on used tyres for their first laps in this session. And then I think we'll have Declan Barrett, of course, at 29 and Ruben at 34. Alexander Dimas around a 10th away from Wilson Hughes in P4. Ulas Gildrim, a 15.5.
Gabor Santos now comes down towards the line. That rear wing open, burning what left of the battery's got. Crosses it for a 15.5. So you can see the used tyre runs starting to come out now. The 15 times starting to flood. Just trying to get the bankers in before they have to slap on that fresh set of tyres. And then they have to go again for the best run possible to get in that 10 driver shootout. Now still a few drivers to come down towards the line to take time to the board. I'll go on board with Sergio Sabrino now as he's got that rear wing open, coming down to 9 and 10, which just saw 2 drivers go for a little bit of a spin, but he's dealt with it well.
Indeed, as we do have a couple more drivers, I think, setting laps. Never mind, I think they're all just going to go back into the pits. We've got Sergio, Barry and Diego all running slow. And then we've got Declan and Ruben, who are also, I believe, not on laps at the moment. So they'll be heading into the pits and going once again. And, of course, seeing what they can do in the next part of this session. Of course, surprisingly, many drivers making mistakes. Of course, we know that most of them, if not all of them, are on used tyres. But I didn't quite expect to see so many of them running wide, getting track limit violations, and then, of course, 2 of them spinning at the turn 9 and 10 chicane. But as soon as they go in, they go straight back out. Simon Engel here for VNT, comfortably into Q2. He's going to look to try and get VNT into Q3 here. Of course, Alexander Dimas is up in that top 5, but they're on lap times which are around 6 tenths, well, maybe more than that actually. I think more towards 7 and 8 tenths of what we saw in Q1. So yeah, these lap times at the moment mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just banker time, just getting a little bit of a feel for the track and just to get a time on the board. You can't be happy with a 15, but you have used tyres to say the least to see that 8/10 drop off, which we can see there. 15.5 seems to be where Gabor Shontos is, and that's around 7, 8 tenths off his previous time in Q1. So you can see the tyre difference and the grip difference, but even just having that one time on the board could help them along the lines in just qualifying position. If they invalidate that fresh tyre run and they have that, say, 15.3 for example for Campbell Adams, it might not be P15, it could be, say, P13, P12. It all depends on how the other drivers get themselves going on their second runs, potentially even third runs, depends how you want to use your tyres. If you don't see yourself going into Q1, or maybe even want to try to just get to P10 before anybody else of the community teams, I'm more talking towards you guys though, you want to try and get that P10 and set yourself up for a good start, then maybe use all those tyres.
Certainly, as we have 8.5 minutes to go in this session. Simon Engel is on a lap at the moment here for VNT, just heading through that first sector at the moment, of course, without a lap time yet in this session. And of course his teammates up in the top 5. Let's see what Simon can do in sector 1, a 26.161. That's around I think 2 or 3 tenths off what we saw in Q1. So yeah, just looking to get his first banker on the board, as we do have as well. I think the next car to start a lap will be, I'm not actually quite sure. I think it is the other Haas. I think it's going to be Alexander Dimas who's next to begin a lap here.
He is ahead of his teammate there, so I think he will be. Simon Engel is coming down just behind him as Alexander Dimas just got around turn 11, going to 12 now as Simon Engel gets around 11. So Dimas will be the next to start a lap. Simon Engel will cross the line to set his time. Is it fresh tyres though? That's what I want to know. Is he doing a fresh tyre run now to try and solidify his position further up the field? As he comes around the final turn 14, rear wing is open for the last time, burning what little of the battery he's got left. It's a 15.2, good enough for P2, but clearly a used set of tyres getting that 15 time. It's only Josh Edu who's managed to pull out a 14 time, potentially on a used set of tyres.
Certainly, let's have a look at Barry Burman here in Ferrari, heading through the first opening corners of the circuit, down to the end of the second straight on this track, down at turn number 3. Of course, Ferrari, we expect to see both of those into Q3 without fail. Barry and Ishmael, probably the strongest lineup we have here tonight, one of the strongest lineups you could probably get in this series here, as he heads to the end of sector 1 at 25.8. That's around 4 tenths ahead of what we saw from Simon Engel there, so a very nice opening sector here for Barry Burman. And then, of course, just heading down this long straight into curved long back straight thing into towards turns 9 and 10. I don't know what to call it because it's not a straight, but I don't really class it as a corner. But it's just part of the track.
Yeah.
In towards turns 9 and 10, decent there. Down towards turn 11, which is actually a straight here, believe it or not.
But yeah, like I say, I don't know what to call that. As you come around, you've got the rear wing open, but you normally don't see DRS on a corner, do you? So, is it a turn? Is it a turn? Can you class it, that sector 2 DRS, as a turn? But he comes around 14 now. For Barry Burman, what sort of pace are we expecting from the Ferrari driver? Like we say, 2 very strong drivers in that Ferrari team. Strong lineup here today. It's 14.3 fastest so far. And that is the fastest time to beat Alexander Dimas. Otis Lawrence immediately jumping ahead by a tenth of a second, whereas Ismail Fassi, the Ferrari teammate, 800ths of a second clear of Barry Burman there.
I thought that lap from Alexander Dimas was good. Never mind. Otis Lawrence goes nearly 4 tenths quicker in the Alpine as Wilson Hughes jumps up into the top 5 just behind Sergio Sobrino. And then we do have, I think it was Diego Zorzo setting a lap there of 14.7. Let's see what Tycho Hardy can do. Barely making it through into Q2. Can he try and get his RHG car into Q3? As that's going to be Josh Edo, I believe. No, never mind. Ruben Progenio up into the top 6. Tycho Hardy goes just inside that top 10 there with a 114.8, but that's nowhere near safe enough to make his way through into Q3 because we still have 5 drivers yet to set times on brand new tyres. Declan Barrett, who was on a lap, had a spin on his first lap and on his second lap has had an invalidation. This is not going too well here for Declan. A lot better for Diego Zorzo, but he's also going to be under pressure because, of course, cars behind still have to get representative lap times on the board. He's already 5 tenths back from the top time, nearly.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look down pit lane. Oh, very strange.
What happened there?
The camera just suddenly changed to I was on board with a driver who should have shown me going into the pits, but all of a sudden just changed to a solid looking down as if we're starting a new lobby. We're on board with Rubens as he's coming around. He's got that flashing light on going into the pits. Everybody now going into the pits. Like they say, we need to wait it out, wait for that best time to come back out. Now, somebody said, watch Otis ERS. No. No, I'm not going to display telemetry.
No, I don't think we can be leaking the ERS. I mean, I think all teams have got a decent idea of how to use it, but I mean, Otis, I think from what we've seen so far, he's probably got that, you know, a little bit better here and there. A couple of % used in different corners or not used in different corners can make the difference, as Barry thinks he's safe on a 14.3, and I'm entitled to agree with him. Same for Ishmael Fassi and then Otis Lawrence as well. Should follow suit and retire, but I'd say fourth then have to go again, because Sergio's only a 10th ahead of P7, still 4 tenths ahead of P10, but of course they've all got to set representative laps on the board. So yes, there'll be 12 drivers going out onto track very shortly to see who'll be making their way into Q3. And surprising here for FRT, of course, we're up at the top in Q1. I think it was Gabble, yes, up in P4. Campbell was up into that top 10. Realistically, if you're looking at what they did in Q1, they should be aiming for Q3 here. And I think before we got here, we'd be saying they'd be out in Q1.
Yeah, you'd expect it. You would expect it. You've got pro teams here racing in this championship, and then these community teams that were just scraping into qualifying, like we saw 2 weeks ago. And here they are, qualifying 2, looking to potentially get into Q3. This is amazing to see, especially for Ventura, Alexander Dimas and Simon Engel doing very, very well so far. But of course, Diego Zorzo for FBR, he's doing well. And then we have both FRT drivers just outside of the top 10, so potential pressure for them. And of course, Declan Barrett, he's been struggling all qualifying long. Q1 and Q2 has been a struggle for Declan Barrett. And I don't know, maybe he could be one of the drivers to sit himself in that bottom 15th position. If he cannot pull a lap time representative of his pace, he's certainly out of this session.
Well, he's got some work to do, that's safe to say, because he didn't look comfortable in Q1. He's looked very uncomfortable here in Q2, and he's now got to pull out a superb lap to try and get up into Q3. But I think the main thing here isn't pace, it's confidence, and it's being able to work under pressure. Both FRTs, we've seen them do good laps. Being as they never went out on brand new tyres, I think they have actually got some confidence here, and they think, you know what, let's go for one banker and then try and save ourselves some tyres, possibly heading into Q3. So, that's, you know, if that's what they're going for, fair play to them, going in with some confidence. You know, they're not playing Football Reference, they're not doing anti-football, they're actually going for it. You know, they're going to push as much as they can and go for the strategy that the esports teams would go for. So hopefully we can see FRT through into Q3. I mean, every team here deserves to be in Q3 and every driver does. But yes, we'll have to see what they all can do. As Campbell Adams, he's heading into the final couple of corners here. 12th place at the moment, has got to find around a second to be at the top, and I'd say at least 7 tenths to be comfortable. Let's see, Corey, what he can do. Yeah,
absolutely. Campbell Adams for FRT, looking to try and help his team through into Q3. They've done very well to get into Q2 though. As like we said, it's not expected to see FRT get into E-Series, but here they are fighting away. And Campbell Adams coming around turns 3, round turn 4 now. Does look very calm and collected, but looks just a little bit unsettled there on the exit of turn 4. Just a bit wobbly on the apex coming down towards turn 6. Now this can be disaster, or this can be perfection as you come down towards turn 7 and 8 and then get aided with that DRS. Rear wing open, burn a little bit of the battery to get a bit of an extra speed boost before you keep your foot pinned full commitment as you fire around to the left and back around the right, turns 9 and 10. Dealt with very, very comfortably by Campbell Adams, where we saw the start of qualifying 2. 2 drivers spinning out on turn 10, one after another within a few seconds. But certainly the grip has started to come onto the track, and for Campbell Adams, the time could be one to set as he comes around 13 and flicks it back around 14. Now commit on the exit, flat to the floor, get nice and close to the wall without running over that yellow line, and the rear wing is open to cross the line. It's only good enough for a 15. He's still out.
He certainly is. Campbell Adams won't be making his way through into Q3, and it could be at risk here for Wilson Hughes. He made a mistake at the exit of the chicane, so he'll be starting well, he'll be P8 at least. Simon Engel only P9. He's into P10 as Gabor Chantos up into the top 10. So is Alexander Dimas. 0.4s for the pair of them. They could be looking to head their way through into Q3. Ulas Zildrim, P8 in Red Bull. Declan Barrett up into third for FBR. What can Diego Zorzo do? Of course, a teammate of Declan Barrett here this evening to the line. And only P11, he won't be going through into Q3. Neither will Wilson Hughes. No front wing on that McLaren. Josh Edu to the top with a 0.242. A 1-2 for Alpine at the moment. There's still a couple more cars to cross the line. Toko Hardy is in P14. He's the only one that can deny Ruben Progenio of a top 10 shootout opportunity. Into the final couple of corners, what can Tycho Hardy manage? Because Ruben stays 10th. Will it be P10 or higher for R8G to the line? It will be up into P10 by 20 thousandths of a second. And no Williams cars or no McLarens making their way into Q3.
Wow. Just the position he needed for Tycho Hardy. P10 to knock Ruben out of it, and he does grab it. 23 thousandths of a second separating the two. Managed to pull the lap out for R8G when he needed it the most. That was fantastic.
It certainly was, and well, we'll get ourselves onto the results screen and see who has made their way up in towards Q3. And there we can see the Alpines, the two Welshmen at the top, separated by 40 thousandths of a second. Ishmael Fassi third, followed by Declan Barrett and Barry Burman, the top five. Then we have Sergio Sobrino, Alexander Dimas, Ulas Zildrim, Gabor Chantos and Tycho Hardy, the top 10. And then finally, Ruben Progenio, Diego Zorzo, Wilson Hughes, Simon Engel and Campbell Adams, all not making their way into Q3.
Oh, interesting start. Interesting start. And now we get ready for our 10-driver shootout. Now, this is where things are going to get interesting. How quick are the lap times going to be? Qualifying one, about to get underway. They have 12 minutes to get the best time possible. Who is going to be the pole sitter? Nathan, I'm going to ask you for a wild prediction here. Who do you think could be our pole sitter here?
I wouldn't say it's a wild prediction, but I'm going to go with Otis Lawrence. I think he's got the best pace at the moment here in this session. I think he's probably got the best pace of everyone on the game. But yeah, I'm going to go with Otis Lawrence. What about you, Corey?
I think the Alpine boys have got a good lineup here. You've got Otis Lawrence and Josh Edu. I keep getting that wrong. Apologies, Josh. I will learn to say it properly eventually. Josh Edu is shown some pace in qualifying. He's been taking fastest laps, but when he comes down to the final Q3, maybe he has the chance to challenge Otis. Could we see a teammate fight here, or are they just going to work together to get that 1-2?
Well, we'll have to see, but I think either way it's going to be a good fight for pole. I think there's at least 6 to 7 drivers here who can take pole in this session. I mean, looking at teams that have made it through, we've got, I think, is it 8 teams in total? Because we've got both of the Alpines, both of the Ferraris, and that's it. So 8 teams are making their way through into Q3. So lots of teams are looking to try and take that, you know, well, they've got a top 10 spot confirmed, but they're looking to try and get higher, looking to get to the top 5 possibly and score some brilliant points for their teams. I mean, community teams wise, always Dimas has left. Hopefully he can get back in. It is on friends only, so he should be able to join back in, but that is not good signs for Alexander Dimas. But as I was saying, in terms of community teams, there's been a few of them which have finished at the top in qualifying. I think TF10, I remember, have had a couple of pole positions. They've had multiple race wins. The likes of, just looking through here, Tomashing Sim Racing, they took 9 podiums here in the past and stuff. Parnell Racing, F7R, SRC, they've all been up there at one point. So there's no reason why VNT or FRC can't get to the top here.
Well, I've just had word. Dimas is having input issues. Nothing on his wheel is working. No buttons, no nothing. Having a game issue. But this is interesting. Is anybody else suffering from the same issue? I'm not seeing anybody taking to the tarmac yet, unless they're just trying to wait it out and just burn a bit of time off. But I don't know. We're just sort of sat here patiently waiting for these drivers to get themselves going. Dimas is back into the session. We'll retake control of that vehicle, and potentially his buttons are working now. Game restart? Anything like that? Has he restarted his game, or just restarted his way into the lobby, hoping his buttons are going to work?
Well, I'm hoping it'd be not ideal to see Alexander Dimas qualify 10th and not set a time because of his buttons, but we've had word. Everybody, eyes into the chat. We are going to drop a 25% discount code for Sim Racing Centre. Of course, without those, we wouldn't be here for a new season of E-Series, and I'm sure Miss Formula 1 will be getting all the copy and pastes done, getting the link in the chat. So one of you lucky guys will be able to head over to the SRC website, claim the discount code, and then get a nice little discount off a setup, strategy, coaching session, whatever you want. But remember, the code can only be used once. So quickly, guys, get that code in to the checkout page, and well, let's see what you're going to purchase. If you do purchase it now, let us know in the chat what you've decided to buy.
Oh, somebody's going to be diving for that code right now. Be ready with the website already up and open, and as soon as they make a purchase, I think the first thing you'll see getting bought will probably be the setups, and then I think the next one, if somebody grabs it, if they already have setups, would be, I don't know, maybe the strategy side of things. I always want to know. I want to know strategies. I'm still confused, Nathan, on strategies on this game. I'm still in two minds. If two stops are faster, or if it's track dependent. If one stops are faster, or again, track dependency. It's still all up in the air yet on this new game.
Certainly, and I'm still in the chat. Musty saying not even 50% off. Well, for the first few rounds, we've got some codes ready, and there's not just 25%. We've got, I think at one point we've got a code for a free purchase of a setup. We've got, I think, 50% off, 75% off possibly. So just make sure to come back next time, and you can get yourself another code. That's for sure. But yes, we'll have 2 drops in this stream. One of them's already been dropped. And if you do make a purchase, let us know what setup or whatever you've purchased. Let us know. It'd be great to know. And then, of course, later on we'll have another one dropped, but we'll make that one a bit more of a surprise. We'll drop it at a random moment during the race. But we have got our qualifying laps underway. We've got Gabel Chontos here for FRT, the first one, I believe, to set a lap in this session. And I think Alexander Dimas is back with us. He is. He's out on an air lap, so he's got everything sorted. But yes, Gabel, let's see what he can do, Corey.
Absolutely. Gets himself going in sector 2 now, coming around turn number 8 before he gets himself powered with that DRS. He notes there's no number here for this sector 2 curved straight, so it's not a corner. I cannot class this as a corner. But as he comes to 9 and 10, fires it around, full commitment, flat to the floor, the back end almost wanting to come round on him then. We could see it on the onboard, but did very well to keep that car going at the angle he wanted it to. Fires it round to the right there into turn 11 before he needs to maximise all the time he can in this final sector. Flat to the floor around turn 12. You're just trying to maintain all your momentum around the right-hander. Comes around the final 2 turns now. Gets that rear wing open for the final time. Burns what little of the battery he will have left. See what sort of banker time we've got. 14.7. Still 6.5 minutes for Gabor to improve that lap.
It certainly was a decent banker. Otis Lawrence at 14.1. The first 0.1 of the evening. A great lap there by the Alpine driver. Next, we have one of the Ferraris. It's Barry Burman to 14.263. Locks himself up into second place just for now. Then we have Declan Barrett heading across the line. Where will he go up to? Only P4, a 14.8. He'll be on a used set of tyres. Next, we'll have, I think, Josh Edo. He's gone to the line. I think was on an out lap. Either that, or unfortunately, he had an invalidation. Ishmael Fassi goes up into P2 there. Only around 10 thousandths away from Otis Lawrence, who, like Ildrim, has also had an issue on his lap, so he won't be setting a time. And I think for now, that is all the lap times being set in this session. The top 3 separated by not even a tenth of a second here, Corey.
Absolutely no. You see, last there was just having an invalidation, but still managed to put the time in to see whereabouts he would be placing himself. And what I can see, he was about level with Alexander Dimas. His lap time there with a 15. So it's not all lost for Ulas yet. He's still got time to get another lap in, potentially jump higher in this 10-lap shootout. But nobody is at risk of elimination, as we all know. This is the final part of qualifying, and now it is for track position.
It certainly is. So all the cars, I'd imagine, will be heading back into the pit shortly, going out once again. And, well, actually, with the time on the board, I think they might have time for 2 laps if they fuel themselves up for 2. If not, it'll just be the one sole run to the finish line and seeing what times they can set here in this final part of qualifying. But with the first laps over, guys, in the chat, there's 250 of you watching here tonight. Let us know who you think will be taking pole position in this evening's qualifying session. There's lots of drivers who have the opportunity to. The top 3 all certainly have that chance, and then there's cars behind who still haven't set laps who also have the pace to go for pole position. So let us know who you think will be taking that top spot in qualifying, and Teddy is saying Josh for pole. That's not a bad guess.
See, I'm sort of leaning that way. Josh Udo is looking like he could potentially bring the challenge to Otis. We all know Otis is very, very capable, fast driver to pull out race victories. Sets himself in that Alpine team very, very comfortably and shows his pace. He is an esports winner, as we saw. I think he took 2 race wins today in the championship, Jeddah, and then I think the final round he won. So again, you can't count out Otis, but Josh Udo, just, you know, keep your eye peeled for that second Alpine to just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, certainly. I think Josh has got the pace. We've seen it so many times in F1 sim racing, over when he had his stint at Red Bull, now at Alpine. Very quick driver. One of those that just comes out of nowhere and chucks in an insane lap. So hopefully he can do that job tonight for Alpine. Of course, on their first season here in PSGL series, we have SK saying Otis and Musty saying Declan Barrett to take pole. So 3 different guesses for 3 very good drivers here this evening. Corey, who did you say again? Because I'm sure I asked you earlier on.
I think Josh.
Josh.
Yeah,
So
I think Josh.
For us.
Yeah. The Alpines, they've got a strong lineup. You can see it in the qualifying pace. We can't count out the Ferraris, of course. You've got Burman and Ismail Fassi there. 2 very, very capable drivers. Very strong lineup for Ferrari Esports. But look at the pace that the Alpines have been setting so far in qualifying. They're up there. They're in this fight.
They are. And Teddy saying, I do think Gabor is a bit of a dark horse. And I agree. I expect Gabor to be one of those that generally he's going to be making it into Q3 on occasion. Will be, up and around that top 8, top 10. But then out of nowhere, sometimes we'll just go and pop up a lap that's P3 or something, and it'll be a driving force for FRT. I'm sure that's where Gabor will be this season, and I'm hoping that he can have the best season for FRT, of course, proving that he can be a dev driver for one of these teams, maybe in the future a main team driver. So this is his, chance to prove he can be at the top and deserves those opportunities. And SK saying Otis, Ishmael or Barry, because they already have a good lap on fresh tyres, they have less pressure. That's true, but they've still got lots of pressure on each other because they all know that they're all as quick as each other. So that they're still going to have pressure, especially Otis, knowing that at the moment he's in that prime spot on a very good lap time. And I was speaking to a few drivers earlier on before the stream, and a few of them were saying that they've seen 0.9s by a few drivers. We're still around 2 tenths away from that, so if we can see 0.9s, that is going to be something for sure.
So, Andre Molnar says Otis and Josh will set exactly the same time, but Otis will be on pole. Well, that's a Hail Mary, isn't it? Exact times for both team drivers. That's you're wishing for a lot, but I'm here for it. I'd love to see it. Let's make this happen. I'm gonna manifest this with a Molnar. Let's pull this out.
Indeed. Let's see what Gabor Chontos can do. Final run in Q3, and his first run on a brand new set of tyres. Currently on a 14.7. Let's see what he can do. Heading down towards turn number 1 in the Aston Martin. Of course, you want to cut the chicane as much as you can. Heading your way through there, carrying through as much minimum speed as possible. And then, of course, DRS open, late on the brakes into turn 3, get the car turned in nicely, hop the curb if you need to help pull the car round. And then through turns 4 and 5, a little bit scrappy there for Gabor, I think. But let's see what he can do at the end of Sector 1. Will it be into the 25s? It will be a 25.8. I think that's similar to what we saw from Barry Burman there.
Yeah, very, very quick lap time coming in from Gabor. All eyes on this Aston Martin driver, doing it for FRT, the community team, with a very, very strong driver helping them along here. You see the second team driver, Campbell Adams, didn't make it through, but Gabor could potentially be looking at the first or second row. He's already P4 as it stands, the fastest on the used tyre runners. And now this could be his fresh set as he comes around turn 11, getting himself ready for the final 3 turns, trying to get every scrap of time that he can. Tenths, hundredths, and even thousandths matter in qualifying sessions like this.
Let's see what he can do. Out of the final corner, a decent first and middle sector by Gabor Chontos. Heading up to the line for FRT, goes P3 ahead of Barry Burman, who's still got a lap to go. But a brilliant opening lap, or ending lap here for Gabor Chontos. Alexander Dimas, P6 as Ulas Yildirim, goes up into the top 5 there for Red Bull. Next to cross the line will be the 2 Ferraris. Barry Burman first up to cross the line, and he stays 4th. Gabor is in the top 3 as it currently stands for FRT. Otis Lawrence at 0.020 to go up to pole. Ishmael Fassi into the 1 minute 13s onto pole position. There's still a couple of cars to set times. Josh will be starting 10th. Sergio Sobrino will be starting 9th, and Declan Barrett will be starting P7. It's all down to Tycho Hardy.
Tycho Hardy's coming around turn 13 now. Got one corner left to go. Can he jump up the field? No time on the table. This will be the first time up there on the leaderboard as he powers towards the line for Tycho Hardy. Up to P6. Gets ahead of Alexander Dimas, a 14.3. And what a qualifying that was. Ismail Fassi take about 13.996. What a lap. But Gabor, wow.
Well, I said, didn't I, earlier on, he's one of those, he'll be up and around the top 10, but on the odd occasion, he'll jump up to P3, and he does exactly that. What a start for FRT and for Gabor Chontos, but it's Ferrari on pole with Ismail Fassi ahead of Otis Lawrence, Gabor third, and then Barry Burmand in P4 with Ulash Zildrim rounding off the top 5 for Red Bull. Then we had Tycho Hardy, Alexander Dimas, Declan Barrett, Sergio Sobrino, and Josh Edu, who a couple of people voted for pole. Unfortunately, will be starting P10.
See, I feel like this is my fault. You know, everybody knows about the commentator's curse. I'm saying Josh for pole, and the man ends up at the back of the grid without even a time on the board. But before we go any further, let's hear from the people that made all of this possible over at SRC. Welcome back. We are back trackside. Thank you to SRC for sponsoring this season 6, of course. All love to them for making this possible. And of course, with SRC, you can. Oh no, I forgot the motto. I'm not going to say it.
Experience excellence.
That's the one. I was going to say achieve excellence. I didn't want to get it wrong. So it's experience excellence. But yes, there you go. With SRC, you can always experience excellence. Well, now we are ready. The drivers get themselves ready for 29 laps of the Melbourne circuit. I absolutely love the racing here in Australia. It certainly comes down to the wire. Absolute fights. They're looking a little grey in the sky, overcast. I wonder if we have some weather on the way, Nathan.
You could do, but I can hear the beeping in my ear, Corey. We're about to get underway.
Absolutely, and as we wait for these drivers to take to the grid, there they are. We are 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. The grid is hot. The drivers are well and truly ready. And it is all go, go, go for round 1 here in Season 6 of E-Series. And immediately we see Ismail Fassi potentially under pressure from Otis Lawrence behind, but no pressure to come his way. Further back is the Red Bull of Ulas trying to bring a challenge to Barry Burman there, but can't. Ultimately, we have Declan Barrett fighting away with Alexander Dimas behind him. Josh Edu and Sergio Sobrino scrapping it out into turn 3. And I see a carbon fly, and it was pink. So that's an Alpine with damage. That's Josh Edu with front wing damage. That end plate as well and truly dispatched of his vehicle. And everybody scrapping here into Sector 1 as we get out of it and into Sector 2. Side by side out of turn 6. Drivers falling back in line, trying to make all the positions possible. Leo Lund up to 17, scrapping hard with Campbell Adams, trying to push on through. Good start from the McLaren driver after disastrous qualifying. And so far all is well, but it's disaster for Josh as he's lost that end plate.
And same for Sergio Sobrino. Both of those two have damage on their front wings. And look at the time that's being cost. 6/10 already between Josh and Declan as Alexander Dimas makes a move ahead of Declan Barrett. Declan's got to be up the inside into the final couple of corners. Oh, and you do see there Dimas running a tad wide. And Declan back up into P7. Pedreño looking to go around the outside of Josh Edu. Back up the inside at the final corner. A bit of glue in between the two of them. Through goes Diego Zorzo up into P10. Potentially looking to go up into P9 as we head back down towards turn number 1. Leo Lund also looking to make a move around the outside into turn 1. Taps the back of. That'll be Simon Engel, and Leo Lund has damage. Simon Engel was round a bit too late on the brakes for the McLaren.
Oh, 3 wide into turn 3! Oh my word! Huge battle for Josh Zorzo and Ruben. Sorry to cut you off, Nathan, but we were 3 wide into turn 4 though. Everybody trying to keep themselves together and collected to turn 3 even. And through goes Edu to take back his position. Zorzo still in P10 and Rubens in P11. That was a mighty fine fight, but just behind there we see Sabrino scrapping it out with Wilson Huge. But don't count out Joris Kroos, and he's looking to slip on through as well and potentially take both of them as we get the run down towards turn 9. He's still side by side with Wilson Huge, but now goes side by side with Sabrino and slips on through in turn 10. That was fantastic from Kroos and beautiful move done. 2 positions in just a corner, but could we see a fight back from the McLaren and Wilson Huge? Yeah, damn right we can as we get going into turn 11. He slips to the inside line of that Mercedes and Sabrino and slips on through in turn 12. Oh my word, the action is everywhere here, Nathan.
It certainly is, and for a moment I thought that the top 8 were going to pull away. That gap was 1.5 seconds. It came back down to 8 tenths. So we're back together again. Everybody is in that DRS as we do see Joris Kroos looking to get ahead of Josh Udo into turn 1. The Alpine runs wide through, goes the R8G, and now Wilson Hughes on the hard tyres, different to everybody bar Matthias van Erven and Keen Godendorp. He moves up into 12th place on that harder compound of tyre, and then Leo Lund with damage looking to push forward himself here in this race. Started 20th, he's up by 5, but a big shame for Simon Engel, who got hit by the back of Leo Lund into turn 1 and now sits back behind the McLaren. But here, looking back up at the front, it's a decent start for Ferrari, first and third, with Otis in second for Alpine, and then it'll be FRT Gabor Chontos and Red Bull's Ulash Azildrim rounding off that top 5. A very good start for our cars up near the front as Sergio Sabrino gets past the driver that I believe gave him damage earlier on. Sergio Sabrino up into 13th place and just trying to stick in DRS of those further ahead. But also a great start from Joris Kroos, was down in P, I think 16, up to P11 already on those medium tyres, but under pressure from losing that DRS advantage.
Leo Lund struggling with that wing damage there. He's just been passed by Simon Engel very easily, and he's now getting a little bit slower as we've got the Williams and Mathis van Erben breathing down his neck. That damage really struggling for Leo Lund as well as Josh. Josh is down to 14th there now. So that missing end plate's costing them dearly.
Certainly is. And then looking further ahead here, we do have Declan Barrett closing in on Tiger Hardy, looking for an opportunity to go to the outside. Contact between the two, deep for Barrett. Hardy was, well, pushed him into the wall for a moment, and luckily no damage for Declan Barrett, but that could have ended really poorly for both of those two. As now Diego Zorzo looks to get on the attack and close in along with Alexander Dimas.
Wow. Lap 4, and it has been non-stop action. I can't believe it's been 4 laps already with the amount of action that you're seeing on your screen. The laps are flying by. We've seen 3 wide moments, side-by-side contacts and damage, and we've only just got started. This is one hell of a race as Simon Engel still fights away with those damaged cars from behind. Ended up taking to the run-off there at turn 10. Just coming in a little bit too hot there. Had to cut the corner a little bit.
Indeed, and I'm starting to wonder if we'll see any rain, because it is getting really dark here at Albert Park. Very dark on the circuit. And it makes me think as well, is that why everybody went on to mediums? Because, you know, it is possible that the medium hard is a strategy. But if it's not, and it's normally hard medium, that suggests that maybe rain is on the way, and that's why they've gone for that softer compound of tyre. As Simon Engel sets the fastest lap in the VNT team in P14. Then further back at the rear of the field, we do see Campbell Adams looking to fight it out with Leo Lund for 17th place. And because of the damage for the Alpine of Josh Edu, now the bottom 5 are separated from that top 14 train, so they've got no chance really of, you know, scoring any top 10 here, unless there's a safety car or unless something happens well or different with the strategy as we head our way through in towards this middle sector. On board here with Wilson Hughes on the hard compound of tyres, looking to get past Joris Kroos. Has done a decent job so far on these tyres, and well, could be on for a top 10 here with a strategy different to everybody else. And normally someone who tries something different and it works out in that first stint could definitely pay dividends in that second stint.
We've seen moves there. So Mathis van Erven get through the damage to Josh, and Campbell Adams get through the damage to Leo Lund. People are dropping places. Maybe this is why they haven't boxed. Like I say, is weather on the way? Are they expecting that rain to come? It is getting darker by the second. and it is looking a little bit grim out there. So like I said, again with strategy, starting on the medium tyres. Are they expecting the rain to come into this first stint, where you'd normally expect a hard medium? Could well and truly be the strategy to go for here in Australia. Everybody, pretty much everybody, bar 3 drivers I think, have started on the mediums.
As we do see further ahead there, I've noticed that gap between Ishmael and Otis does start to increase in and around that middle sector. It goes up to around 6 or 7 tenths, so that could be the fact that Ishmael's probably got a little bit of better pace. Otis is struggling with the dirty air, or possibly it could be something to do with Otis wanting just to preserve the tyres a little bit more and not push it at that full pace. There's Declan Barrett there, yet again, right on the rear of Tiger Hardy, but just can't find a move past, and will still be stuck in P7 here at the moment. A good start for FBR, P7 and P9, still FRT. Decent with Gabor in the top 4, but of course Campbell Adams not had the best evening at all in P16 as he overtakes Josh Edu, goes up into 16th place, and then further back, I think we saw there Keane Godendorp get ahead of Leo London, move up into P18. As we still continue on here, lap 6 of 29, still many laps to go in this Grand Prix, and Ferrari looking rather comfortable here with first and third. And once we get into that final stint and into the last couple of laps, that's when these two can work together and try and go for a 1-2 here, whereas Otis hasn't got a teammate anywhere near him to help him out and look to secure even better positions for the Alpine crew.
And Wilson Hughes got mighty close to the rear of Ruben there. Could potentially have been sizing up a move of Ruben doing well to maintain pace and open up that gap a little bit more. All in that huge DRS train. So not many moves coming from these front 16 drivers. Well, I say 16. Campbell Adams is floating around that DRS mark. He's sort of there, but can he get there at the detection point? It's 9 tenths, and it did drop out of a second just for a brief moment, but he is pulling back a tenth when needed. Campbell Adams will maintain that DRS. It's the drivers behind that are going to struggle. Keane Godendorp, he's got a lot of work to do to try and get back into that train.
He certainly has, and poor Josh Edu unfortunately made a mistake at turn 3, and he's now 2.5 seconds back from 19th. Not the way that the Alpine driver would have been hoping that this event would have gone, or at least the start of this event would have gone, as cars are closing in here down towards turn number 11, and of course they've got to be wary of engine temperature. If they go over 140 degrees, they can start to lose engine power, and of course that is not what you need around a track like
Wilson
this.
Hughes to the inside, he goes into turn 12, so into turn 13, tries to stick it around the final turn. He had a little go into turn 11 on Ruben, but couldn't get through. Slight contact between the two, and Wilson Hughes tried again, but Rubens has just well and truly got that Williams mighty wide.
Certainly, and Wilson, of course, I think still doing a great job on these hards, considering that, you know, they're probably still the worst tyre at the moment. So I think that we're getting closer to that crossover of the hards being quicker. But either way, he's made positions on a tyre that would not have been favoured 8 laps ago. So a great job here by Wilson Hughes for McLaren. Not so great for Leo Lund, who of course was doing decent at the start, got up into 15th by lap 3, hit the back of Simon Engel, has got damage and now sits P18 and has lost DRS to Keane Godendorp, who now has got back within a second of Campbell Adams as we head our way back down towards turns 9 and 10, and then looking a bit further ahead, still the front 5 the same as it has been since lap 1, as well, Barry Borman did make a position, but apart from that it has all been the same as we head back down to turn 11, and that's why we do see the cars moving out to the slipstream, just looking to keep those temperatures of the engine nice and cool, as Josh Edu also has a penalty, and well, that just guarantees Josh Edu with a P20 here, doesn't it, unless somebody else has a DNF or makes a big mistake.
Yeah, look how close the field is. He's not going to gain anything. He's going to drop positions like a stone, and even then he's got that damage. And I think he's had a bit of a moment. He ended up losing 4 seconds to the back of Leo Lund, so maybe caught himself a bit of a spin or a slide, as we see Leo Lund get past Gregory there. Gregory's into the pits on lap 9, so maybe, just maybe, he's expecting it to stage right and has finally opted for those high compound tyre, which could potentially well undo 20 laps. Like, it's 9 laps done already on the mediums, and if they're still feeling fairly comfortable and got some good pace, there's no reason why the hards couldn't go the 20.
Well, undercut here by Gregory. This could be a power play by Veloci Academy, knowing something the others don't, or it could just be a risk. Trying something a bit different here, and just trying to get Gregory a little bit higher. Of course, was out in Q1, So there's not really got much to lose here. So either finishes last and tries something different, or finishes, you know, possibly up into that top 10 for Veloci Academy, of course, where Sergio Sobrino was earlier on until he suffered from damage on his front wing. And of course, guys, we still have one of our giveaway codes in the chat for SRC. Of course, head over to the link next to the giveaway code and enter that at checkout, and you'll get yourself a nice cheeky 25% off. Of course, yet again, a big thank you to SRC for sponsoring this series. As cars are entering in the pits early, Barry Burman, Diego Zorzo, Ruben Pedreño, Sobrino, Engel and Adams all in the pits on lap 10 and 29. So possibly this undercut works by Gregory. Let's see what he can do. He's just heading into the turn number 13.
Yeah, so around 13 needs to fully commit now, negative 14, try and maintain all that momentum, build up that speed to make sure that this undercut is going to work. Now, we do see some cars coming down pit lane and hit that exit, and I don't think he's going to make up many positions. It's very close. He's made again, maybe one. Oh, just one on Campbell Adams. Oh, no, it's better than none, yeah, but not as powerful as you'd like to expect. Maybe he's just had a stinker outlap there, not gaining any time.
Could have been, but also it might prove that the undercut isn't as OP as it is around some other tracks. And what's happened to Gabor? He's dropped 2 seconds back. I mean, I know that Barry's entered the pits, but I didn't expect him to drop so far back here. And then that does put him under pressure from Ulash and Tygo behind as Ishmael Fassi goes for the lead. Otis Lawrence fights him back, and I think Ishmael went deep because there's gravel and dust on those tyres. So Otis Lawrence now is in that top spot. He'll be heading into the pits this lap around, I'd imagine. He is, along with Ishmael Fassi. As Gabor goes in, Sergio Sobrino takes a 3-second penalty. Ulash Zildrim stays out, but everyone behind him is seeming to be going in. Yoris stays out, so does Wilson Hughes here. So many cars think lap 11 is a lap to go in, and a couple others want to go a lap longer possibly, or even longer for those on the hards.
Well, we're on board with Wilson Hughes on the hard compound tyre. Joris Crozen behind on the mediums, going that one extra lap. And I'm pretty sure Mathis van Erven, he too is on the hards. Yes, he is. Those white wall tyres. And yeah, things are looking like strategy could be the way to go. What have you seen? What have you seen?
Well, cars exiting the pits as cars are heading into turn 1, and Pedreño got pushed onto the grass there at the exit of turn 1 and has dropped down to P14 and the Williams. Not the sort of exiting of the pit lane he would have been hoping for here. Or at least, no, sorry, he didn't exit the pit lane. The cars ahead did and pushed him off. So not what Pedreño was hoping for there. But Barry Burman still is in that top spot ahead of Otis Lawrence and then Ishmael Fassi. Gabor still in P4, but that undercut has worked for Diego Zorzo, who now jumps up into P5 potentially here in this race. Great job by the FBR team in terms of getting those pit stops done at the perfect time. Then we have Tygo Hardy, Declan Barrett and Ruben Pedreño all following in behind. And also, it's worked out for Simon Engel. Remember, was down in P16 with, well, nearly had damage, but he got hit by Leo Lund. He's now behind his teammate, who was up in the top 10.
Burman now leading ahead of Otis Lawrence. He boxed first, so he managed to get the undercut to work out on the drivers. Gets Otis sandwiched between the Ferraris. It's a good little strategy there from Barry Burman and puts Otis in a bit of an unwanted situation. Is Barry going to do team tactics here to try and help his teammate into that 1-2 position?
Well, we'll have to see what he could do. Simon Engel does set the fastest lap and has had some decent pace in that Haas car so far this race as we head our way back down to turn 3.
Oh, no!
This is where things get interesting because Leo Lund is holding up the field. He's holding up Barry Burman. He's got damage, so he's got to hold drivers up, and Barry goes to the outside and goes through. Up into P6 goes Barry, and Leo Lund also gets overtaken there by Otis Lawrence, who goes up and ahead. And now Ishmael Fassi, it's his turn to make a move, and I'm sure Gabor will be looking to go through as soon as possible as well. And Leo Lund trying something a little bit, well, not moral, that's for sure, but has to do the best for his team. Gabor and Leo will head side by side into turn 9 and 10. Never mind, Leo drops back, but that could have ended badly there for a couple of drivers.
Yeah, I mean, Barry Burman right up into the rear diffuser, and Leo Lund has got around turn 3. That was disaster, that was dangerous. Leo Lund, like you say, he's trying to do the best for his team, but the morals, there's a bit of a, you know, a bro code, as you would, a code among drivers. But you race fair, and that was a little bit cheeky, if I say myself.
It certainly was, but let's see if that's helped Wilson that much. I think it might have done slightly, but I don't think it's helped him, you know, as much as Leo would have hoped to. As Leo's doing a good job again into turn 1 to defend Ruben Progenio on the brand new hard tyres. Oh, a bit of a tap there to the back of the McLaren. I think Leo just a bit slow heading out of turn number 1, and then you can see defending the inside, and Alexander Dimas looks to get 2 cars. He goes to the outside of Progenio, who now goes 3 right into 4, and Leo gets overtaken by both of them, and Simon Engel looking to get through, taps the back of the McLaren, and is up the inside and gets through into P15, and now Leo has the 2 Veloce Academy cars behind him.
Oh my God, Leo Lund really getting the elbows out. He's holding nothing back here. He's making them fight. We almost had a recipe for disaster there in turn 4. 3 wide. Almost 3 wide. Now that is not a turn you can get 3 cars through. But here it goes. Leo Lund in a Mercedes sandwich, and they're both going to slip on through with ease. So does Campbell Adams. Leo Lund dropping places. Those tyres are absolutely done.
They certainly are, as we head our way into the final couple of corners now. Let's see who's going to be looking to make moves near the front, as we do see Ulash and Joris Krozen into the pit. Of course, they're going for an overcut here, hoping that can work in this race. And look how far how far down they drop. As Ulash Azildrim was up in the top 5, he's now 14th. He has dropped back heavily in this race, but of course looking for that tyre offset to make that work for him and push that Red Bull even higher. Of course, Joris Krozen's dropped down to P18 here in this one, and he's out of DRS of Campbell Adams, so he's also got to start pushing on nice and early.
Alright, back on Barry Berman, still leading the way, technically, as we have the front 3 yet to box off those tyres. And Berman can see that Red Bull in his sights when he gets onto a straight, so he knows that he's getting ever closer, and the drop-off that these drivers are going to get when they do ultimately box is going to be massive. But can they pull it back on those fresh mediums? These hards start to worry, start to lose the... Oh, Gabor, no! 3 second time penalty is certainly going to damage his race, and he's doing well for FRT. Sits himself in 7th at the moment, but technically, that's net P4.
It is. What a shame there for Gabor Chontos. Could have been a top 5. Potentially could have been a podium chance here for Gabor, but that is out of the window now, as unfortunately he has to have a 3-second penalty served at the end of the race. As we head our way back down towards turn number 1, I can see one of the Aston Martins pulling out. Sorry, no, it was Diego Zorzo pulling out of the train behind Gabor Chontos, and knows now that he's got another position because of the penalty. That's going to work for him as we head our way back down towards turn 3. Anybody thinking about making moves? Ulash Azildrim is. He's on the outside of Simon Engel in towards turn number 3. Simon's got the inside line, has the outside for turn 4, and through goes Ulash. No real hard fight there for the Red Bull driver. Of course, his teammate, he is Keane Godnador, up into the top 3, but he's going to drop back probably to around 18th here because of the fact he stayed out for 14 laps and he was near the back to begin with anyway. Big shame for Red Bull's race. It hasn't gone too well with strategy, at least for Keane Godnador, and Ulash Azildrim. There's a lot of work to do on those brand new hard tyres, and the question is, can he make those moves? Because we know on this game, it's very difficult to make moves even with a big tyre offset.
A bit of a fight going on at the back of the field. Joris Krozen moving up on Campbell Adams, as well as Sergio Sobrino moving up on his teammate. But there goes Krozen now to try and overtake that Mercedes of Gregory, and does so with ease going into turn 11. Back around turn 12 we go, looking to size up the second Mercedes in front of him, Sergio Sobrino. Krozen looking for a late comeback here to try and claw his way back through the field. Although he does know that position is well and truly his from Sergio, with that 3-second time penalty above his head.
Certainly is. As Joris Krozen takes the fastest lap of the race here, as we head our way back down towards turn number 1. And oh my goodness, that was close there. Barry Berman nearly hit Keane Godnador heading into turn 3. Keane's back up the inside as they head their way through. Off the track goes Barry, but a contact through in towards turns 5 and 6. Oh, he gets to move. Oh, that's Otis Lawrence round. Otis Lawrence is going to be out of this race pretty much as he's spun around and has no front wing left. What a shame for the Alpine driver and the Alpine team.
Oh my word, that is just so unfortunate. Otis Lawrence has just been completely collected. Keane Godnador battling it out with Barry Berman, coming to blows, mashes himself into that outside wall and gets bounced off it, literally like a trampoline, and collects Otis Lawrence with him. I have clipped that from my perspective. I'm going to post that in the chat later on. You can all have a look at it from the commentator's point of view. That was disaster.
What a shame there for Lawrence. I mean, Barry and Kim were going right at it, wasn't they, towards turn 5 and 6, and unfortunately that cost and the race here for Otis Lawrence, who would have been a winning contender, and now will be in 18th, has to pit again for damage, as we do see Keane Godendorp pit along with Matthias van Erven and Wilson Hughes. Of course, they would have lost a lot more time than they have done, but the SC has came out. Let's see, where does Wilson come out in this race? He's in, well, he's going to drop 10 quite far actually. He's going to come out in possibly P12, P13. I mean, that's better. Oh, Sergio gets a drive through. Oh my goodness, Sergio Sobrino has a drive-through, and I think, yes, Wilson Hughes did as well. 2 drivers with drive-throughs as we head in towards turn 3. Gabel Chantos is under pressure from Diego Zorzo, who's around the outside of the FRT driver, bit of contact. Then Diego drops down to P4 once again, and now enter the scene, Tycho Hardy.
Oh my God, all of a sudden hit with green flags and catching out Sobrino and Wilson Hughes. Unfortunate for them, they're going to have to serve that drive-through or face disqualification. That's not a 10-second you can slap on at the end of your race. They'll have to serve that within the next 3 laps.
Certainly will, and there we do see Joris Krozen ahead of Simon Engel, Ulasha Zildjian behind Declan Barrett. As we head our way back down towards turn number 11, let's see what moves are being made this time, because Ulash is all over the rear of the V-Carb. Of course, last season that would have been the car he was driving in. This time he's in a Red Bull. As we head our way through to the braking zone, and no move being made there for Zildjian, but also Pedranio is gaining in here on the back of Dimas. He could be looking to get that Williams up even higher into the top 10, as that's a send from Joris Krozen out of nowhere, looking to go around the outside through the final corner. That doesn't always end well, but it does for these two. A tap on the wall for Wilson Hughes. That will allow Matthias van Erven with a shot to jump up into P12, and now Joris will be looking to go into P9, but can't do so. Brilliant defence there by Ruben Pedranio.
Pedranio just managing to slip ahead in P1. Beautiful driving from the Williams. We have Williams versus RAG. Joris Krozen again goes to the outside. This seems to be the best position you can be in to benefit with that inside line back around turn 4. Beautiful stop from Joris Krozen to take that P9 away once again. Josh Edu moving up to P16 on Sergio Sobrino there. Leo Lund taking the fastest lap time. And with that incident, Otis Lawrence out of it will just help Ferrari with that super strong lineup. Guarantee that 1-2, but which driver will take the checkered flag? Are they going to fight it out? Are we going to see the more papaya rules here over Ferrari instead of McLaren? Are they going to battle it out?
I mean, I think it'd be silly for Ferrari to fight here. I don't think there's any point of doing so at all, as Zildjian makes a move ahead of Hardy, Krozen ahead of Dimas, up into P8 finally for Joris Krozen. Got that move done in the end. But no, I can't see the drivers fighting here because there's no Drivers' Championship whatsoever. We don't even know at the end of the season how many points a driver scored. It's all down to the team's championship points. So as long as they can get a 1-2, they're happy. And here goes Ulasha Zildjian with those brand new, well, newer tyres at least. He's flying through the field up into P4 ahead of Diego Zorzo. And now he's on the back of Gabel Chantos at the moment. The Red Bull is back onto the podium spot. We're then into P14 after the pit stop. 5 laps later, he's up into P4 and a net P3 as Wilson Hughes is looking to get back ahead of Ruben Pedranio to the outside in towards turn 3. Has that outside line, goes back to the inside into turn 4 and he's up into P11.
Yeah, it's easy done there. Textbook manoeuvre. You stick yourself to the inside of a chicane, to the outside of a chicane, sorry, so that you can benefit with that inside line. And we see a lot of drivers benefiting from that manoeuvre there in turn 3 and 4. So here we go now on tour 19. 10 laps to go as we're seeing Matthias van Erven fighting it out with the Haas of Alexander Dimas and gets through easily with the RS. They're not benefiting there with the RS. It's the Haas driver.
Oh, Joris Krozen! Oh my goodness, into turn 9 and 10. Went for a move up the inside and has lost 3 positions due to doing so. He went sideways through the corner and he's now down to P12. He was looking to make early moves, but sometimes those moves were a little bit outrageous, and unfortunately for him, has to do all that work all over again. He's pushing hard here for RHG to score them some decent points, and now has a lot more work on his hands as Keane Godendorp gets ahead of Josh Edu. They're battling side by side into turn number 15.
Oh, very, very close. Keane Godendorp does manage to slip ahead of Edu. Beautiful textbook stuff, but will not have DRS to defend against that Alpine as they come down the start-finish straight.
And well, this race is over here for McLaren because Wilson Hughes, of course, serving that drive-through, took a 10-second penalty for speeding into the pits. Not being the evening that Wilson Hughes and McLaren would have hoped for. They're now sitting P15 and P19. This will probably end up being P18 and P19. with the way it's going, and we'll see Alpine probably P16 and P20. Two big teams here, not having the best start at all in this championship, as we do see further ahead. Ulas Ildrim is on the back of Gabor Chontos. Matthias Van Erven makes a move ahead of Declan Barrett, and they're closing in on Tycho Hardy. What a race this could be for the Williams on the brand new medium tyres is against all those on used, very used, hard tyres.
Yeah, absolutely. Further bike Mathis Van Erven fighting it out with Tycho Hardy there, does manage to slip on through for P6. Now he sets his sights on Diego Zorzo ahead. We have people in the chat saying, watch out, Ulas is going to start making his move.
Certainly will be. Of course, he's on the back of Gabor Chontos, and with that 3-lap tyre offset to Gabor, of course, he's going to have lots of pace in that Red Bull, and then, of course, behind Matthias Van Erven on a 6-lap offset to those ahead on a softer campaign will be flying on those medium tyres as we head our way back down towards turn number 3. No moves being made by anyone yet in the field, but of course they will be starting to be made once Ulas is closing in on the back of Gabor. You can see in the corners gets right behind the rear of the FRT and the Aston Martin, but never enough to make a move. Of course, the dirty air on this game is a lot higher. If this was on F124, it'd probably be in the lead by now, because the dirty air just didn't exist, and you could be right so behind someone, no matter the corner you're in, and no matter how much speed you're taking through them.
Yeah, absolutely. Eyes on Joris Prozen now as he's getting very, very close to the rear end of that Williams of Ruben. Is he going to size up and move here into 9 and 10? He tried it early on, caught himself a bit of a slide, and he's now on a bit of a recovery to get back into the points paying positions, the higher points paying positions. This is where things are going to get a little bit interesting for Joris Prozen. Can he pull it back, or did he burn out those tyres as Ulas slips on through into turn 11 there to secure that P3 position outside of that time penalty? Now, does he have the pace to put the pressure on the two very, very capable Ferrari boys?
In contact there between Gabor Chontos and Matthias Van Erven as Zaldrim is up into the top 3, and Matthias Van Erven sent quite an audacious send into turn 13, and unfortunately hit the side of Gabor Chontos. They both ran wide, and now we've got to work back up to Ulas Ildrim, and for Matthias Van Erven has got to catch back up to Gabor to try and make that move once again. As we do see Joris Prozen there looking to get ahead of that being Ruben Pedreño. These two have had a battle earlier on. Oh, as Joris gets chopped off there, and unfortunately he ends up in the grass there as he heads his way through this first sector. Still on the back of Ruben Pedreño, looking to jump up into the top 10 and join his teammate Tycho Hardy. But they head down towards turn number 9 and 10 again. DRS open here. Is it enough for Joris to make a move this time around? I don't think he's going to gain in just enough, as Matthias Van Erven makes a move around the outside into turn 9 ahead of Gabor Chontos into the top 4 for the Williams, who started outside of the top, outside of the top 15.
You know, for somebody who started terribly in qualifying, he's really pulling back a recovery drive. Williams going to score some much needed points after they've had a bit of a disaster last season, only good enough for 9th in the championship. Maybe, like we said at the start of the stream, maybe this is the time for Williams to make some form of comeback and be a potential contender against the 3-time back-to-back champions of Ferrari, who look to be securing this 1-2 here, unless Ulas has got anything to say about it.
Certainly, we'll have to see what they can all do, but looking further back again, Joris is on the back of Ruben. Of course, has a tyre offset, has a little bit more pace, but just can't find that move, can't get ahead of the Williams driver. So they head down to turn number 3, and then looking even further ahead there, Declan Barrett is right on the back of Tycho Hardy. They're having their little scrap for P7 as well. Further ahead, yeah, Zildrim's right on the back of Ismail Fatih. I think Ismail might be holding back a little bit there behind his teammate Barry Burman, and then of course they get onto the straight and foot back down to the throttle for Ismail Fatih, and then he can close up to the rear of Barry Burman. Of course, for Ismail there, that'll just be trying to save that battery and stop a threat from Ulas down one of these back straights, or potentially heading into one of the heavy braking zones. As we head our way back down towards turn number 11, you can see Ulas gains in, but because the battery that Ismail Fatih has, doesn't need to worry about any sort of threat.
Have some confident supporters in the chat saying Ulas could win this, but it's impossible to overtake. Ooh, certainly looking to put the pressure on the Ferrari team ahead. Red Bull coming with a very quick driver to look to potentially settle this start of the season with a victory. Does ULAS have the pace to pull on through? Everybody else just trying to run and maintain it now. We're getting into the final 5 laps. Now this is where things start to get interesting. The drivers are setting themselves up. The way I like to compare a race is to a game of chess. The first, say, however many laps to the final 5, you're just setting yourself up for the end game. You're getting rid of your pawns, you're making your early moves, but then it's time to get that checkmate.
It certainly is, and you can see clever tactic here by Ismail Fassi, holding up Ulash and those behind, heading through towards turn 7, then boots it. DRS open, can use a bit of battery, and then not have to worry about the Red Bull closing in. But give it a couple of laps time, there's a chance that Ulash might go for it a bit early, go for a send and get it done. But here is going to be Matthias van Erven. Remember, he is also on a bigger offset than Ulash and Ildrim is to the others, so he could also look to charge up onto the podium in the Williams car on the medium tyres. But I'd say probably next lap, he'll start to hit a drop-off point, and he won't be anywhere near as quick as he has been over these past few laps. So it's all a chess game here, and you've all got to place your car at the right time here with 5 laps to go. Heading on to lap 25 or 29, and it's Barry Borman who leads the way ahead of Ismail Fassi. Of course, Ferrari have won this championship 3 times before, Season 2, Season 3 and Season 4. And then Season 5 was their lowest point ever, with a P5 finish in the standings. And right now, they're looking to go straight back up to where we normally see them, and that is at the top.
Oh, we'll see Ismail Fassi once again slowing down that Red Bull, just so he can benefit down that mighty long straight in Sector 2. There you go, 8 tenths breaking open from Burrowman and Fassi. So yeah, that strategy seems to be paying dividends here to the Ferrari team. The Red Bull just unable to get himself in any form of position to overtake. The door is not coming yet, no open door, but do not create it out for the last lap. The Red Bull could just be setting himself up as Ildrim making himself ready for his check now.
He certainly is. 4 laps to go now, heading on to lap 26 shortly, and the top 3, well, the top 2 remain the same for many, many laps, of course, until, after Otis Lawrence unfortunately had an incident with, I think it was Keane Godendorp and Barry Burman. He's now 20th place, won't finish anywhere outside of the bottom spots. Of course, will still take a point away for finishing 20th, so it's not the worst race in the world here for Otis, but it could have been a million times better as we head our way back down to turn number 1. And Ulash and Matthias will be looking to close in on the Ferraris, but at the moment it looks like they're going to struggle. The Ferraris have got a very good strategy in place to keep those cars behind, and no matter what Ulash can do, Ishmael can still keep that DRS and get to the back of his teammate Barry Burman, as we do see Campbell Adams going for a pit stop here. That's something a bit different here. He's got to exit out in P17. Never mind, it'll be P19 behind Leo Lund potentially, but is it a fastest lap attempt here for the Aston Martin?
Well, do we still offer a point for fastest lap?
Yep.
Ah.
Well, I don't know why he's pitted. It's an odd one, because he was like, what, P15? P14?
yeah, no, it's... Because obviously with them taking away the point in IRL Formula 1, do we still do that here in E-Series? Get a point for fastest lap?
I think we do. I'm not 100% sure. Connor will let us know. But no, it's a bit of a weird pit. He was in P14 and now you pit to P18 to take away 1 point. As Joris Crozen looks to make a move ahead of Alexander Dimas and does so. And Joris, who dropped down to P12 after making contact earlier on, goes back up into the top 10.
Yeah, back up to P9, the position he was when he lost it all and dropped down to P11, almost P12, before he managed to retake that P12. Joris Grozen needing to catch up to the back of Declan Barrett there, as we see Ruben dropping away from Gregory into the pits. He's going to try and go for the fastest lap and stop Campbell Adams from taking it away. What are the points only to top 10?
No, points all the way down to 20th. 35 for the win, 1 for 20th.
Wow, so they are scoring points regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, every little point matters. Every little helps. You know, just you've got to throw that out there. You get 1 extra point, at least it's 1 extra point, and you're taking it away from your rivals. I guess it's all in the game, isn't it? It's all in the game.
Ruben was P11. He's pitted and now he's 17th. So I don't understand Why are they doing that? Because they're going to lose more points than they gain from the fastest lap. So unless they're close to a puncture possibly or something, and they just don't want to risk it.
Puncture warning, surely. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine that they've all got their engineers talking down their ears, and he'll be relaying his current tyre degradation percentage, and I'm guessing the engineer says, nah, you're going to have to box your well in puncture territory, and we want to see you make it to the distance to get those points, and yeah, it's got to be done.
Certainly, yeah. People saying because of puncture, it's got to be. And someone says what happened to Otis. Barry got into contact with Keane Gonendorp, and then unfortunately Otis arrived on the scene a little bit too late, and bosh, straight into the barriers. And well, he's now 20th, but at least we'll still score a point here for the Alpine team. It's not the worst. You know, it's not the worst in the world. At least he still gets a point for that position he's finished in. But we have an FVR, an R8G sandwich here between P6 and P9. We've got 2 FVRs and 2 R8Gs there inside that top 10, occupying top 10 points as Leo Lund gets ahead of Sergio Sobrino, jumps up into P18. Campbell Adams is ahead of Josh Edu, and actually Campbell's got back up to P15. He was in P14 and now he's into P50. But either way, has still caused a lot of pressure, possible for risks as mistakes, and he's still not going to catch up to Keane Gonendorp here. So unless he has just gone for the safe option of not getting a puncture.
Well, I'm keeping my eyes on this little R8G and FBR battle we may potentially see as we're about to get going on the final lap. Now, I am going to put us on board with the front runners because it's the moment you've all been waiting for. Has the Red Bull or Zildrim done everything he needs to potentially take that checkmate now, get past 1, maybe get past 2 as we come down the start-finish straight? Is he sizing up Ismail Fassi here? Not quite yet. The DRS at his advantage. We saw it is pretty much impossible for this Red Bull to overtake. He's been struggling over the last 5 laps to get some form of door open to him. But as we get going on the final lap, he's closing in, closing and closing, trying to at least get that P2 for Red Bull.
Love to see what he can do. Lap 29 of 29, and of course it's Barry Burman in the lead ahead of Ismail Fassi, who's under pressure from Ulasha Zildrim as we head in towards turn number 7 and 8, and I don't think there's anything here that Ulash can do. That gap is just too large. There's too much dirty air here on this game at the moment, and there's no way that Ulash is going to be able to make a move here and get up into a top 2. And I don't think the same can happen here for Matthias Van Erven. I don't think he can really strive for a top 4 as Diego Zorzo gets past Gabor Chontos up into P5 now on track for the FBR team, one of their best finishes in E-Series for a very long time, potentially, as we head into the final few corners. Turn 11 here on lap 29, and the top 3 seems to remain the same, as we do see there. I think it was Wilson Hughes under pressure there from Campbell Adams, but back to the front. Barry Burman lead Ismail Fassi and Ulash Zildrim through the final couple of corners. What a start for Ferrari here for E-Series Season 6. They'll go and take a 1-2 with Barry Burman and Ismail Fassi. And Ulash Zildrim finishing in 3rd place. My throat nearly died, but we got there.
That was one hell of a race. Those opening 5 to 8 laps, oh my word, the action was non-stop. And then the drivers, of course, got to settle themselves in to that race pace and make sure the tyres can go the distance. But as we come down towards the final finishing positions, Wilson Hughes down in 19th after all those penalties, and finally to cross the line after that disaster collection from Keane Gonendorp, we see Otis Lawrence. Not the best race from him, but it was completely out of his control. We should expect to see Otis Lawrence come back in the later rounds. But for round 1, there you have it. A Ferrari 1-2. Absolutely beautiful drive from a very, very strong team. We've been saying it all through the stream. They've come in to Season 6 with a very powerful lineup.
They certainly have. And let's look at the results from today's race. So the 2 Ferraris lead the way ahead of Ulash Zildrim in 3rd. Matthias Van Erven in 4th from 17th. A good race from him, in the same goes for Diego Zorzo, 12th. Up into 5th for FBR. Then we have Tycho Hardy in P6, followed by Declan Barrett, Joris Krozen, Gabor Chontos, who could have been up on the podium, but got a penalty and dropped back. He finishes 9th. And then VNT taking out that final top 10 spot ahead of Alexander's teammate Simon Engel for VNT in P11. Then Gregor Prajibal in P13, Keane Gonendorp 13th, Then we have Campbell Adams, Ruben Projonio, Josh Edu, Leo Lund, Sergio Sabrino, Wilson Hughes, and Otis Lawrence. What a shame for McLaren and what a shame for LP, but hopefully we can have a word from our top three.
Absolutely. We are now going to head ourselves over to the interview room and we can just wait ever patiently for the drivers to come to see if we can get a nice little chat from those Ferrari boys who've been so dominant all race long.
We'll see if we can get them for an interview. But what a race there, Corey. I mean, I think, is this your first race in E-Series? I think it is, isn't it?
It is, yeah. This is my first time ever in E-Series. The qualifying as well, obviously, like 2 weeks ago. That was the first time I've ever graced the E-Series grid. And what a round one, Nathan. That was fantastic.
I mean, that's one of the best round ones I've ever witnessed. And for you to have your first race of that, I mean, that sets us up perfectly for the upcoming season. I mean, while we have a little bit of time, we might as well have a quick look at the calendar for this season, because I don't think we've seen it yet on the stream, but it's a good calendar, isn't it? I mean, we've got some brilliant tracks in there. I'm trying to find it myself because I've got it somewhere, but I can't seem to find it, unless you have it your end, Corey.
Yeah,
let's have a look at the tracks we've got.
Just pulled it up. I've had to go back to the commentator's camera screen just because that's where all the graphics physically are. But here is your Season 6 calendar. We've just got Melbourne, Albert Park out of the way before we head ourselves over to Interlagos. I absolutely love Brazil, Sao Paulo. I absolutely love it. This is going to be fantastic. One of the tracks that you can see photo finishes that back straight down towards the line, Nathan, could bring some mighty fine battling to the checkered flag.
Certainly, we do have our two Ferrari boys in the interview chat, so we'll quickly drag them in. There's one and there's two. So welcome in, guys. Firstly, Barry, who took the win in that one. So very welcome in. Great to have you in. And I mean, what a start to the season. P1, P2, and I mean, that was pretty much comfortable, wasn't it, from the start, really?
Yeah, hello to you guys. Hello to everyone who's watching. Yeah, I mean, Isma did an amazing lap in qualifying, who made our race way better, with myself being P4. And then it was a really good start. Then I could get to P3, and then after that, we knew we had to manage the race, and me and Isma were just really managing the whole race. And even in the second stint, I don't know. Actually, it's interesting. Second stint, I don't know why people playing team games from round one, and yeah, just not really understandable to me. But it is what it is. And also, yeah, I mean, it was a good race. Me and Isma managed everything, and also this win also for Isma as well, because he managed the whole race, and I was just ahead pushing as well.
Certainly. And I mean, obviously heading on to that second stint, a couple of drivers got their pit stops done at the perfect time. You had the likes of Ulash and I think it was Matthias as well, who, you know, got right up to the rear of yourself and Ishmael. And I suppose at the end of that point, with the fact that the dirty air so high, was there any worry of them being able to overtake both of you?
But obviously you always have that tiny bit of worry. But we know how this game works, and I think Isma, as I said, did an amazing job. That really helped us to get this one too. He really managed the gap, and then I had to just push in front. And yeah, I think we both did a really good job, and I think we really deserved it. Unlucky for Otis. I think for sure he will come back stronger.
Perfect. But Barry, congratulations on the win. Anything you'd like to say, Corey, to Ishmael quickly?
Yeah, just to Ismail Fassi, again, like you say, slowing down you last there. Was there any threat from behind? Were you worried at all that he may have potentially got the position which implemented that tactic to just slow him down a little bit, let Barry push ahead at the front, and then eventually try and get this 1-2? Was that all in the strategy? Was there any sort of threat, or did you feel comfortable?
Obviously, like Barry said, you're not comfortable when you have someone behind you with fresher tires. But yeah, the RTR is quite high, so anytime he was close on the high-speed corners, he just would lose a lot. I was also managing tires behind Barry, so it was making it easy for me to kind of be balanced with Ulash, who had to push first laps. So yeah, very happy to get a 1-2 on the first race. Especially here, a track that it's very difficult to get a lap. I was really happy with it, so not much more that I can say. Sorry.
Oh no, again, it's congratulations. A 1-2 for the Ferrari team, setting off round one with a bang. And how are you feeling about Brazil? You confident?
Sorry, what?
Uh,
Didn't hear you.
sorry, you set off round 1 with a bang, getting that Ferrari 1-2. Are you feeling confident for round 2 in Brazil?
Um, I mean, I always want to be realistic, so I don't kind of say that yes, I am very confident. I am. I know that I am, but I just wait for the moment, wait for the quali and race to happen, and then I guess I will answer to all of your questions. But yeah, right now I'm just focused on Australia that has ended just a few minutes ago, so very happy with it.
Lovely, lovely. Well, the celebrations are out, my friend. Congratulations on the P2 and, of course, the teamwork between you both. Well done.
Thank you.
Perfect, guys. Thanks for joining. Been a pleasure, and
Thank you.
hopefully we'll see you again next time. Have
See
a good
you.
one, guys. And finally, we have Ulash Azildrim in the chat. Ulash, welcome in. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Perfect. So welcome in. Great race today for yourself and the Rebel team. Of course, started 5th in qualifying. How did that go for yourself? Do you think you could have possibly got a little bit higher there?
In qualifying, to be honest, maybe I could have got P3. I had a big mistake on my lap, but top 2 wasn't possible. The top 2 laps were really good. So I'm not really happy about qualifying, but I'll take P5.
Certainly. And then heading into the race, of course, you went for that bit of an overcut, which at one point I was thinking wasn't going to work because of the dirty air. But to be fair, you made it work quite well. Was you expecting to get that high up the field so quickly? Because I think within 5 laps you made about 8 positions.
And to be honest, I thought I could go up the grid, but I didn't think it would be this quick. Because in like maybe lap 19, I was behind Isma, I think. So I don't know how that happened, but I had to make so many overtakes, like 10 overtakes at the same time. But I had like 5 laps fresher tires than some people, so I just could go up from the outside and outside, so it's fine. It was good for me.
Of course, and when trying to overtake Isma, of course, it was pretty much impossible because of the dirty air. Was you trying to make that move early on to make it work, or was it just still not even possible at that point?
I mean, with this dirty air in this game, it's really hard to make overtakes, especially if you are working with the car in front. He was making like 9/10 gap every lap, so I couldn't do anything. He was just blasting into the gap. I was just trying my best to maybe he would make a mistake. I was waiting for a mistake, but he didn't make a mistake. So I got P3 in the end. I'm still happy with it, but it could be better.
Yeah, indeed, and of course, not the best race for Kidd, but I'm sure that the team will bounce back and strive for better things for the second driver next time out in Brazil. But Ulash, thanks for joining us. Pleasure to have you here in the commentary box, and hopefully we'll see yourself and the team here next time out.
Yeah, see you guys.
There we go, Corey. It's nice to have our top 3 in for an interview. Normally we do, but there's been the odd occasion where we don't. So at least we had a good start. All of our top 3 in. Let's hope we can keep this up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. All momentum going now, looking very, very good. What a race for Ferrari and the Red Bulls as well. Getting that P3, still good place to be in. It's only round 1, early days, still 11 rounds to go. Still a fight for that prize fund in the end of the championship. He's still up in the air, it can go anywhere, Nathan. I'm excited to see how this unfolds.
Certainly. Next time out, we head off to, I believe, Interlagos at Brazil. What a track that is. I mean, that's got to have some interesting racing. I think from what we've seen today, it's going to only get better and a little bit more chaotic. I mean, in qualifying, we've been there, I think, at least 3 times in total in E-Series, and the qualifying's always, a 10th between like the top 7 or 8. So qualifying there's going to matter heavily because in the race, yet again, it's a lot harder to make moves than it was on the last game. So our drivers are going to have a bit of a struggle. So qualifying is where it will all matter. But that comes to the end of a brilliant evening. Corey, anything you'd like to say before we close things off?
No, I'm just excited to get going for round 2. I'm already anticipating, already excited, already want this to happen. And we've only just finished round 1. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Indeed. And of course, a big thank you to everybody in the chat who's joined in this evening. Over 300 of you were watching earlier on, and it means a lot to ourselves. Obviously, me and Corey, PSGL, and then, of course, SRC, who are our title sponsor of this event. A big thank you to Sim Racing Centre for helping fund this series. And of course, guys, make sure to head over to the Sim Racing Centre website where you can order anything you want, whether it's coaching, setup strategies, engineering, or even iRacing, LMU, and ACC. And you can even be coached by F1 Esports champion Brendan Lee. So make sure to get over there and get to that checkout page. We still have the code in the chat, so if you'd like 25% off, then hit that code at checkout. There we are, the wonderful Miss Formula One posting that in there for you all. And of course, guys, with SRC, you always experience excellence. That's us. That's it from us tonight. We'll see you next Friday for round 2 of PSGL E-Series Season 6. Good night.